This is Drink Talk, where we try to solve the world's problems one drink at a time. Each episode in this podcast, we talk about the topics of yesterday, today, and tomorrow while reviewing and enjoying beer, spirits, and wine from around the world and crafted locally. So grab your drink, raise your glass, and join us. We are your hosts, Brian and Britt. Cheers.
Check us out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another great episode of Drink Talk. I'm ready to go, Brian. You ready to go?
I am super ready to go.
I'm always ready to go.
Yes.
And my levels are a little going crazy here. I'm going to turn them down just a little bit so people aren't freaking out.
Just a wee bit.
Just trying to make sure that everything is okay.
All right. We got some serious topics. Food security and large-scale conflicts. So those are a little bit more serious topics than we've done. I mean, we were doing that like first season or two, and then we kind of departed so we could get out and do on-location stuff. And
well, I wanted to get back to what I was looking at was I literally just typed in and Googled. I was like. World problems, because I mean it's right in our title.
Hey, we're solving the world's problems
one drink at a time.
Yeah.
And one of the two of the largest problems in the world today are large-scale conflicts and food and water shortage. So let's do that.
Talk about them both.
Yeah. Maybe we can get the world out there. A little knowledge of what's going on in the world if they're not watching the news.
Oh, yeah. People like to be in their own little bubble, their own little Instagram or Facebook or social media bubble, and things that are kind of overseas or problems in other parts of the world they don't really pay attention to, but need to be global-centrically focused.
Yes.
I just made that a thing now.
Global-centrically
focused.
Nice.
All right. Well, before we and I am playing music, Brett.
Okay. I'm so those that did not join us last week for episode 98, where we drank Hop Slam and did Media Slam.
That was fun.
I got new
Bodes.
With Bodes. We got new studio lights, and so right now I'm just like adjusting the exposure and all that stuff and
making it look pretty,
making it look so it's.
Well, while he's doing that, I'll talk about our first drink that we have going on here. So we are we're going to be drinking on several things from the Casual Pint. As you know, they help sponsor this program, and they're a fantastic place to go.
Yes.
Best way to describe them is a coffee shop for beer.
I popped in there on Friday, and those who know Casual Pint know of their loyalty program, a brewmaster program, and all that sort of jazz. There's a monthly fee that comes attached with that, but I mean, right out of the gate, they give you one free growler fill a month. So, I mean, it's like $4 a month if you really look at it.
And half-price growler fills on Friday.
So I went there on Friday because now I've got a ton of growlers and I fill them up. And they see me come in, they're like, "Oh, hey, Britt," because I'm filling like 6 or 7 growlers at a time. The place was packed,
which is good.
It was packed on Friday. It was like, I think it was only like 4:30.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like. Everybody literally got off work and just went to the Pint, which was awesome to see how that place has just evolved, and it was just awesome to see that amount of people there. And there was no event going on. I mean, there's half-price growler fills, but it was just Friday.
Nice.
I think everybody was just. It was a nice day. Yeah, it was a nice day, and everybody was just looking to just get done with work, and it's just like, oh, we're in February now? Great.
Mm-hmm. Which it wasn't too bad, temperature-wise out.
Yeah. So cheersies on the...
well, first we need to... So this is Modern Times.
Yes,
Modern
Times.
Fortunate Islands.
And unfortunately, you cannot get this on the tap anymore. So Cheers. Oh, Modern Times.
So it's an IPA, obviously. I didn't do actually any research on what this was. I just found out about them right before we went live. But
juicy.
It's very juicy, but like if you're thinking IPA flavors, it's a subdued, almost like a watered down, which can be helpful to some people that like to get into IPAs, but don't like that assertiveness of the hops.
Right.
This is definitely a subdued hops flavor, but juicy citrus flavors for sure.
It's very good.
This is very drinkable.
It's like just drinking orange juice, but then it's beer.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's kind of got that orange juice, grapefruit juice
that
flavor.
tangerine kind of flavor in the back of your tongue. Tangerine.
I dig it. This is good. This would be a good one even on a hot day. This is a good one. It's not really hot outside right now. But.
No, it's not. I wish it was hot. I'm getting a little tired of this cold.
Yeah.
But
the groundhog did see its shadow, so we're going to have an early spring.
All right, fair enough. No, awesome beer. Modern Times comes out of California, I believe San Diego, California, and
San Diego.
Great beer. I've tried many of them, and they're just kind of like what's cross strain here in town. They're just like toppling life. Like they're just not making bad beers. They're just making good beers.
It's all good stuff. Yeah. All good things. Well, let's get into the talk a little bit because we got a lot to cover. In this talk, so.
I have 3-4 pages in my notebook here about stuff, and I'm just like, oh man, I need to quit writing.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
All right. Well, let's start with food security. And actually, you can't say food security without talking about water too, because you need water to grow the stuff that we're needing.
Absolutely. And one thing that is, let's not stray too far away from the conversation. We'll talk about, I'm sure, a lot of different places, but one majority place that does have a problem with food is Africa. And I know everyone knows about Africa and bad weather and changing of climates. The crops weren't good this year, so on and so forth. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt, Africa, because they've just had so many problems, and they've, we got a good crop this year, great, we're fine. We got a bad crop, now we're horrible, and it's...
And that's just, you're just talking about like the farming aspect or the agricultural aspect. There's a
Right.
lot going on in Africa.
Well,
that
there's
is,
tribal stuff
crisis,
going on.
which is going to be the next part of the talk. That
Exactly.
We're,
But I mean, there is a lot of talking points I have here for Africa, like Zimbabwe and all that stuff. But I just want to get that out there that this has been a problem for a long time in Africa.
Sure.
But there are other places here in the world that we'll be talking about as well.
I do kind of want to clarify what we mean when we talk food security. It's the opposite of food insecurity. So I'm not talking about actually locking down your food in your home. We're talking about...
Well, I mean, kind of.
Yeah, on a broader scale. But we're talking about enough food for everyone on the planet.
Yes.
Making sure that everybody has not just food, but like nutritional food, like good food. And they do say...
I think there's a frozen pizza out there for everybody in the entire world. There is that.
Exactly. Can we get
just pass those out.
Exactly.
But that would only be one night, and then we don't have any more frozen pizza.
Oh, man. It's like the superfood. There's like everything. You got your dairy on there. You got your vegetables on there. You got your meat. You've got your bread. It's all encompassing.
I had a frozen pizza tonight.
Nice.
Just saying. From California Pizza?
Oh yeah, CPK.
I like their crust, the crispy crust.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
The crispy crust.
We used to have a frozen pizza cooker, and it was just like on a tray that rotated, and it had a heating element on top, and it would cook it as it went around. So it was pretty cool. Or you could stick it in the oven, which is
all right.
Anyway,
enough about pizza.
Back on the talk. They do say that like within 10 years we're going to be, and there's always the alarmists. Right now we're going through climate change, and the alarmists that are with that. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just stating that they do say in 10 years we're going to be at a tipping point for agriculture, which means that it's not the point of no return, but it's going to be a downward spiral for sure. Why do they say 10 years? Well, some of the numbers they're talking about, by the year 2050, we will be, the planet will have 9 billion people. We have 7 billion right now. And
there's a lot.
9 billion people. And they do say that current production, we do produce enough food for 14 billion people. So we produce twice as much food as people on the planet currently. So the fact that we're going to be 9 billion, there's alarmists out there that say we're not going to have enough food. No, we do have enough food. There's a lot of food waste, though, unfortunately. So how do we get those people? Because we still have a billion people that are starving.
Sure.
So how do we access those people? And one of the interesting things that I watched, it was a TED Talks, and it was all on food consumption versus production in countries. And Africa was one of those countries that you talked about.
Sure.
The initial chart that they showed was 40 years ago. So in the late 70s, this was done 2 years ago, so it would have been 78. They said in 1978, they showed a map of the world, and the colors were from red to blue. Blue was a country that produced more than its people would eat, and it would actually be a food exporter. And if it was red, then the country couldn't produce enough food, and it would have to import food. And three main countries kind of popped out in that first infograph: China, India, and Africa. And China was blue 40 years ago, but also 40 years ago.
What does blue mean?
Blue means that they were a food producer. They produced enough food for the populace.
Sure.
Also, 40 years ago, 90% of the population lived on less than $2 a day.
Wow.
90%.
I wish I could live on $2 a day.
Right?
$2 a day, that would... I don't know if I can make it by $20 a day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But China's also huge. It's got a lot of land. Now, some of that is unusable, mountainous land that you can't really grow stuff in. India is another one that has a huge population. And 40 years ago, they were importing most of their food. They didn't have enough food. They didn't produce enough food to sustain their populace, so they would have to import it. And then there was Africa. And Africa's always been a country that does not produce as much food as the populace.
Right.
Then...
Well, they suffer for a lot of things. I mean, where they're at and where they're located, they have severe droughts. When you have droughts, you can't produce crops, and therefore you don't have enough food. So, I mean, A, you're short on water, and B, you're short on crops, and C, you can't do it, can't export that.
I do want to talk about that here in a second, but I want to go back to India. So they showed that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
The chart they showed next was today. And
India's not making it.
No, India flipped. So they over in like 1999, 2000, they had a green revolution there in India. And now they are a food-producing country, and they actually are self-sustaining now.
Right now, India's got a problem with clean water is what's going on.
Yes, because...
So I guess food, okay, clean water, no.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of going to be worldwide clean water. That's a commodity, a hot commodity. But the problem India is going to see is in the next 10 years, the population will actually outpace the production of the food. So that's why there's that 10-year flip that we talked about. China also flipped, and it went from light blue, which was like, hey, we're doing okay, we produce a little bit more food, to dark red, like we have not nearly enough food for the people. And that was, you're talking a 40-year, we're talking one person's, like my lifetime.
And so, like, I guess back in elementary school and all that stuff, if I can remember this correctly, I mean, it was part of a generation where China could only have one child.
But yeah,
right?
I believe they still have that. They're going to start relaxing that, I think. But I think it's still
and has
one
it
child per
flipped
couple.
Because there's just so many people there?
The technological revolution that they went through. I mean, the economy just in 99, 2000, China just exploded. Like the graph just got a 90-degree turn for China on the economy and everything. And there's also 1 billion people there. And so even if one couple produces one child, there's still
4 times as much as the United States, or 3.5 times as much as just the United States.
Yeah, closer to 3.5, 3 to 3.5.
China is bigger than the United States by a little bit.
Yeah, land mass wise, for sure.
But I thought they would, China would actually have it locked down. With their advancements in technology and stuff, I would think that they would be the first people to be like, hey, we can do this hydroponically, and we can do this
the rice,
sure. Like grow it with solar panels and big huge greenhouses and stuff, and the rice. Yeah,
what they're talking about here. So when I talk about food production, all that,
I don't get my rice from China anymore.
I'm less talking about food poundage, like the number of tons of food that they create, and more about it is a really good beer. The more about the calories, because that's an easier measurement of what food production is, because we know what calories. Like if you say 60 tons of food, I mean, you can kind of wrap your head around what 60 tons of food is. If I say 4,000 calories, like okay, that's like 2 days worth of food right there.
Or trip to McDonald's and a Big Mac, something like that.
Big Macs are only like 500 or 600 calories, by the way.
All right, 7 Big Macs.
But so what I'm talking about, caloric production. So rice is not a high caloric food.
No, it's not.
Which is why you don't see a lot of overweight Asians unless they're sumo wrestlers.
Bingo.
So then there's Africa. We talked about Africa, and Africa didn't do any flipping at all. It's always been a country that has not produced enough food for its populace.
And when we talk about Africa, I want to state the fact that it's more the lower southern part of Africa more than it is the upper part of Africa. Now, it is all over Africa. But
Northern Africa is Sahara. I mean, that's...
But they don't suffer from it, and there's just not amount of people... So
yeah, the populace is unless you're talking Egypt along the Nile. I mean, that's
right.
really highly populated. But there is a fair populace up there. But we're talking mainly sub-Saharan Africa, and the corn production. Britta talked about the farming and all. The corn production that they have going on right now, the yields that they're seeing, are the same yields that the United States saw in corn production in 1940.
Okay,
if you I mean, that's
you haven't. Upgraded since then?
No, I'm talking the yields.
Oh, the yields.
The yields of the crop
have stayed the same since 1940.
No. The current production levels in Africa for corn are where the United States was back in 1940.
Gotcha. I didn't have the United States stipulation there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've got some serious upgrading to do. A lot of that has to do with governmental red tape. It is not...
Can we get a combine up in here?
What this TED Talk was doing is how do we solve that? And one of the things that they talked about is political reform and farming education. If you make farming, it doesn't even need to. You don't need to be a millionaire over there. I mean, nothing. Everything is super cheap over there.
You're talking about farm education, like
on how
teaching?
how to produce stuff.
I mean, heck. A squirrel gets a piece of corn, drops it in the ground. I've got a corn thing growing up out of my ground. It's not that hard. You just got to plant it and water it. That's
right.
it.
Exactly. But there's also education that goes into that on, like water
Spacing
values.
Of rows
exactly.
I get it.
Yep. But also the
Get
political
Monsanto involved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk a lot negative about them, but there's a lot of farmers
They're
out there.
They're the largest producer of seeds.
For
so,
sure. Yeah.
Cargill
Cargill and Monsanto, for sure. But if you made it even somewhat profitable for farmers over in Africa, then the industry would take off. Right now, it's not profitable. I mean, what do you know of Africa? I know,
are they having a problem getting seeds? I guess is my question.
Probably not. I'm sure the food seeds that they're getting are non-GMO seeds.
Yeah.
So because they need
that's
stuff.
all I've got in the house.
Yeah,
non-GMO seeds.
But with non-GMO, I mean, like we talked earlier.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about seeds for tomatoes and those seeds. I have vegetable seeds.
Yeah. We're talking food here.
Yes.
But the GMO stuff, even though you're going to have higher yields, a lot of the seeds aren't reusable. Whereas the non-GMO stuff, the seeds are reusable.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're using. I honestly don't know that for sure. I would just educated guess-wise, that would make more sense over there that they were using non-GMO stuff.
Sure. I mean,
yeah. However, that being said, there's also a moisture content deficit over there as far as crops are concerned. So they probably are using some version of corn that does not require a lot of water because they don't have a lot.
And I was just reading an article about Zimbabwe, and that is their major problem with not having adequate water and adequate food is just because it's patchy rain. And so if you don't have liquid water to grow said crop, it's going to fail. And you're going to fail as an economy because you just can't grow what the people need.
Right. Yeah.
I threw you through a loop there?
No. I just had a comment here about the streaming. There's causing a huge delay or something. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, can you let us know more specifically? I did turn down the music and all that. That's really for our ears, but anyway, so the infographic, and I didn't actually get you to download the picture.
I can still do it because I'm not recording right now over here, which is a bummer, but I'll just pull the audio from the live feed, and it's no big deal.
Do the so just do a search real quick on the when we're talking about farming land,
Size comparison to Africa of what?
just size comparison of Africa, and when you get it, you'll see a lot of countries and all that placed within Africa. So when we're talking about Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, I mean the Sahara is huge, but sub-Saharan Africa is also huge. You're talking. There's an echo. What kind of echo are you talking about, Corey? But yeah, the chart. Which one did I have? This one right here, Britt, on the top right one. Right, your other right. There we go. Yeah, that one. Can you blow that one up? Maybe.
Possibly.
So anyway, yeah. Well, Britt will blow that one up. Yeah, nice and tiny. It sounds like a computer inside your room is streaming it, and the volume is turned up.
Weird.
Huh. I'm not sure what's going on.
Turn that off.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just turn off.
I'll hop on the live feed here and listen with my earlobes.
Okay. So anyway, when we're talking about the size of Africa, the reason I do that is just to show you how much farmland is available for production. And so there's a reverb.
Okay. Cool.
We're not hearing it in our ears, so I appreciate the feedback on the chat. Africa is huge. It's hard to see on this little map here. Britt did blow it up a little bit, but that blue area on the bottom, which is like a third of Africa, that's the entire United States right down there. And that brown area on the top, that is all of China. And then you've got Mexico over there in the green, India over in the orange. You have all of Europe in the gold, which is in the center there. So Africa is huge. It is larger than 4 countries plus all of Europe. And then Japan takes up Madagascar right there. So there's a lot of potential land available for farming and all that. It looks like we have several people on the chat. If you can let us know, if it's your device or whatever, please comment on that. And let me know. Britt's working diligently on the feed right now, so I will continue on while he's working on that. So that is one solution right there. They talk about if Africa were to be a self-sustaining country for food, that it would very much help out that in 10 years there's going to be a tipping point towards countries that are non-producers versus producers. China's another one that's tough. They've really done a lot of growth, both in industry and population-wise. And Corey said there it is. It's good. Whatever you're doing, Britt, good job. So. Gosh, threw me off track a little bit there. Turn it up.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, he's working on it. He's working on it. Anyway, so China is going to be a big problem, both in the number of people and also being able to produce. They don't have as much arable land as like India and Africa do. I'm not sure if that's because it's mountainous or, you've seen the rice fields. They're super, super soaked, and that's only certain things grow in that kind of field. So I'm wondering if it's just they don't have the land to. They have tons of land, but they don't have land that's great for farming. So that would, if Africa were to jump on board and be a food producer, that would kind of help out on things. Another thing that people have been talking about for decades is vertical farming. If you, here in the United States, we do have a lot of land still available for farming. Most of the Midwest here is an agricultural area, but soon if our population increases, then we're going to start running out of land because we here in the Midwest we grow out, we don't grow up. But I think farming you can grow up. One, from a footprint standpoint, doing multiple tiers makes sense. It'd be a lot more costly to do it that way, at least in the beginning, until we start figuring out how to. Thanks, Britt, for the little sound effects. Not sure what's going on, but anyway, also from an engineering standpoint, this is perfect. So
I have no idea what is going on.
I hear
it's like I'm creating a loop or something like that.
Yeah. My volume's turned all the way down on my thing. Is your volume turned all the way down? Because was that just from your phone?
We'll just keep going with that.
We'll just go with that. So, also on vertical farming,
I could still hear it just a little bit in the background, but
yeah, we'll soldier on. You also, from a water standpoint, if you use vertical farming, the amount of water you actually lessen in there because water doesn't evaporate. If you're in a building, so to speak, it's not going to evaporate as fast as it would if you were outside. You can use a heck of a lot less water. You can control the amount of water each section is getting a lot easier because you're not dealing with different types of soil. It'd be all one. So it just thanks, Corey. Mucho bettero, he says.
I guess
I use that term all the time.
Hearing it in the background, which is weird because like I haven't changed any settings since our last show, so but I could still hear it faintly, just faintly.
Only when you're on the live feed, not because I don't hear it in my ears. Oh yeah, I do hear that.
I don't know. Brian, I'm listening to us like 4 seconds behind, so I don't hear you. I hear what's going on in my ears. So I'm talking 4 seconds behind in these ears.
That's weird. Oh, man.
I know you just talked a lot.
Wow, yeah. No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Also, those of you that are on the feed, if you want to comment on anything that we're talking about, I appreciate the feedback on the sound issues, and we're working on that. I do apologize. And
yeah.
I do hear it. That's coming from your phone or something.
It's coming from my phone. Well, yeah.
There we go. All right. I wonder if it was creating a feedback in there.
I don't know if that would happen, but it was happening before I had it plugged into my phone, so who knows?
Okay.
Anyway, going back to the food.
Soldiering on.
Exactly.
So that's the topic of food security, being food secure, moving forward in the future is going to become kind of a resource war. I mean, we've heard this term, the next war is going to be a resource war, but a lot of people assume that would be because of oil. You know, we would need oil for. And
you know, we're starting to find out that we actually have a heck of a lot of oil where we're at right now.
That, and we are moving more into alternative energy, so oil is not going to be as big of a issue in the future as it is currently. It's actually less so today. Even though we have more of a populace, we are looking at a lot of other ways to get energy. Though current automobiles need a ton of oil. Even if it's an electric vehicle, it's still using plastic, which is a petroleum-based product. So
sure.
You're still using it, just not in the gas tank all the time. So that being said, a resource war. Not just oil, but food would be another way to do or to have another war or large-scale conflict, which leads us into the next topic.
Perfect. Large-scale conflict. Let me flip the page. I have a lot of notes on large-scale conflict because there is a lot happening throughout the world that people don't know about. Now, everybody should know about the United States and Iran, Iraq, the United States and everybody about that.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick apart some of those here later on, but let's go through. First, let's explain what we mean by large-scale conflict.
Yeah, war.
Global war.
What is it good for?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
So that's kind of what we're talking. Are we talking World War III? Maybe. I mean, but we're gonna get into that talk a little World War III about that later on.
Small little factoid that people may not know. You know how we were over in South Korea, and we were talking North Korea. My fault, not South Korea. North Korea, and we were talking
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong. And we're like, hey, dude, you need to like stop rocketing those missiles off. People getting a little pissed off, and hey, let's sign this treaty. Well, a lot of people didn't know that treaty was up in December 2019, and is now back to rocketing them off in the ocean again, and he's up to the scale of nuclear weapons again. And it's like the news really isn't talking about it.
Well, and so
now is he still like watching with the giant binoculars, and people are filming him watch it with the big binoculars? I don't know, but he's back into producing again.
So what I had heard from the news was that I didn't know that it had run out in 2019, December 2019. I thought that he was just blatantly ignoring
By the end of the year,
it.
it ran out.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a future potential thing. I do want to go. I have a couple lists here.
Why would you have a document that would run out? But okay, cool.
What's that?
Why would you have a document that would run out? But all right.
Well,
especially with that dude.
I mean, times change.
Like, sign this, and then we'll just figure it out later.
Exactly.
For an end date.
Yeah. I do have a couple lists here for conflicts that have been happening over the last couple of years. That these lists come from the Crisis Group, which is actually, if you can actually Google the Crisis Group, and they will show you conflicts to watch for. And just last year, I've got both 2019 and 2020, but 2019, and I wanted to do the comparison between the two. 2019, the list was Yemen, which there's been a lot of conflict in Yemen. For me personally, that was the country in 2000 that blew up one of our warships, the USS Cole, which a friend of mine, you remember Dave, Britt, was on, and my roommate was on that ship when that all happened. So you're moving it left to right on my ears. And I hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can hear that again, the echo.
Sorry.
I hear it in my... Oh, is that your phone again?
Yeah, I'm just still getting a little silent echo.
Okay, well,
Which is weird.
So Yemen has been a thing for a long time, but is still under conflict. Afghanistan, that's the ongoing war that we're still in, that's going on. China and the U.S., I mean, in 2019, there was the whole trade war thing that everybody talked about. The U.S., the KSA, or Saudi Arabia, Israel and Iran. Iran and Israel have been going on for a long time, and then the whole thing with Saudi Arabia. Syria, which just, that in 2019, that was a big one. So they called that one right. Nigeria. Boko Haram is back. If you don't remember that, you can Google Boko Haram. That's the terrorist group that's in Nigeria, and it's kind of reared its ugly head, part of ISIS. And the South Sudan, actually all of Sudan, but South Sudan specifically, Cameroon, which is in kind of Central East Africa, the Ukraine. I mean, we definitely heard about that back in December for the talk, but they were looking at that, and Venezuela. People are starving in there. There's riots and all that. So that was the 2019 list: Yemen, Afghanistan, China, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iran, Syria, Nigeria, South Sudan, Cameroon, Ukraine, and Venezuela. 2020, the list changes a little bit, and we can go through these a little bit more specifically.
Brian, you're really diving into lists and all that stuff, and I just want to stop you there and kind of dive into some of these lists. First of all, I want to bring up Venezuela.
Well, okay.
Can we start with that?
Yeah, let's go into Venezuela.
Because a lot of people know about Venezuela and what that's all about, especially with them coming to our border wall, and let them know the reasoning because of that.
Oh, you mean the group of people that were coming from Venezuela that walked up here and tried to get into the borders? And
like, it's for one, it was amazing that they walked that far. They walked all the way through Mexico to come to us, without any help, and cell phones that were charged and money in their hands.
Those of you, and fat. There were some fat ones. So Venezuela, for those of you that are not up on your geography,
President Maduro.
Venezuela is in South America, and
correct.
The U.S. is in North America.
Right.
Thank you. I'll be here all night. But there's actually an entire the Central America. It's not just Mexico, but Central America. They walked through the entirety of Central America to get here.
Right. Now, they have endured civil military uprising. They've done
socialism,
U.S. sanctions, regional boycotting. I mean, they need humanitarian aid right now. Like, there's a lot of things that Venezuela needs, and I can see why they were leaving. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I don't want to get too political, as we do in the show that we don't do in the show. But they were coming to our borders because they found out that, pretty much if they made it here and they could get here and they could get in here, they could get free stuff, essentially.
Well, that's kind of years ago. Well, not years ago, a couple of years ago, when remember the Syrian refugees, and they were talking about how all these refugees from Syria were going to places like Germany and the UK and all that. It's like, there's our ton of countries in between those.
Why didn't they stop there?
Why are they going to these specifically? Well, those are the ones that have, and you hate to be harsh about it, but those are the ones that have the welfare programs, and those are the ones that would allow them in.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about food, running out of food and clean water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of my solutions was move. So there's that.
Yeah. It's not an option for people that have no money.
Right. But if you continuously are impoverished, you are continually not having enough water or not having enough food, maybe you shouldn't be there. Maybe you should go somewhere else where there's plentifulness. Mm-hmm. Now, I get, you don't have the money to get there. I get that. But your starvation should lead you somewhere else that would potentially, I don't know.
People have a resilience to.
We'll make it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, or you just.
And then the next year comes around, they're like, oh, here it is again.
Yeah, but humans are amazingly resilient, almost to
Agreed.
a fault. Almost,
Agreed.
They're like.
Speaking of resilient, I'm kind of empty here and
all right.
needing more.
Should we stay along the same, or do you want to go to the next one?
Let's just keep. Let's go to a new one. We've got a few beers here, and in fact, you said you brought some, so I don't want to stick too far on. Now, would I do this one again?
Absolutely. For sure. That was the one we were drinking up. For those of you that are just now joining us, that was the Modern Times Fortunate Islands. That was a delicious, heavy citrus, low bitter, almost like a. There was some bitterness in the back, but it was kind of a watered down, and I hate to use that term because I don't want to say that the beer was watered down. It's a full flavored beer for sure.
I know that I left that map of Africa up there too long, but I never even actually looked at it, and I didn't realize how big Africa was compared to the United States and China and all that stuff.
That's what I was saying.
Enormously large.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I was working on the audio, so I didn't really.
No, that's fine. That's why I wanted you to put that up there because I don't think a lot of people realize how big. Holy cow!
He's big. There's tape on that, by the way. You took it off.
Yeah.
There was tape on there.
I need leverage to get this thing off. That's not going to work.
Don't break the pin, but try it.
Actually, I have a.
There we go. See, you just need a little extra.
Yeah.
All right. I was watching this guy put some pipes together. On some channel, putting some pipes together, and he had the largest pipe wrench I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it was about the size of this table, if not just a little bit smaller. And then he had a pole on that pipe wrench, and he was ratcheting on another pipe to another pipe, and he was literally had his feet up on that pipe, pulling down on the pole that was on the pipe wrench. I'm like, man. Get it done. That's big. I mean, the pipe that he was tightening on to another pipe was probably a foot, if not a foot and a half big. I mean, it was a large pipe. Mm-hmm. Those pipe fitters.
Laying pipe.
The pipe fitters.
Yes. All right.
So I was doing the research all on water, and not having, and I'd like to go back and revisit that later on because I didn't get to really talk about it that much. You did, but I did not.
The food?
The food and the water and all that stuff because I was dealing with the audio issues.
Oh, sorry.
But I do want to get onto the conflicts.
Okay.
That's what I do want to get onto.
All right. Well, this next beer, and I took a sip before we clink it. I'm sorry, Britt.
It's no biggie.
This comes from one of our favorite breweries out of Iowa, Toppling Goliath. This is the Super Sumo.
Oh, Toppling Goliath, you are amazingly awesome to me. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So, Super Sumo.
And this one is, even though it's like a very milky looking, very hazy, extremely hazy, almost like a milk was run through it, but it's way more assertive on the flavor, which I like.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's like a kick in the teeth, but it's definitely way more assertive than the last one, than the Modern Times.
Well, the last one was tropical fruity.
For sure.
Very juicy, very citrusy, tropical fruity. This is more. I was trying to, get my taste buds going and going.
Yeah, this thing is a flavor profile for your taste buds.
Well, this is almost a palate record.
It is. Yeah, you don't want to start with this if you're gonna.
No, don't start with that.
That I do enjoy it.
And when I mean palate record, that's a good thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is really, really good. I like this. All right. conflict.
So what's happening with my audio is I'm noticing that I don't have a left and a right channel. For some reason, I am just stereo on my channel.
So we're doing this mono e mono.
Ooh, mono e mono. No, I used to be able to, like, there's two knobs here, and I used to be able to turn one of the knobs down and actually physically see and physically hear one of our channels going on down. So I don't know what happened to my stereo mode.
Okay. Well, we
And
can talk about
maybe
this.
that's why I have an echo, slightly. So anyway, back to the talk.
Yes, back to the talk. You were talking about Venezuela, which is on the 2020 10 conflicts. And I just switched my ear. There we go. That's better. So because Venezuela is on there, why don't we go through the other ones and we can talk about each one individually on that one, on the conflicts.
Did you know that Afghanistan has more people die in result of fighting for conflict than any other place in the entire world?
I have a chart for that.
You do have a chart, and I'm pretty sure that Afghanistan is on the top. Up on the top.
On the top.
That is one place that I will just, I don't care to travel to. I'd just rather not go there.
Yep. So the conflict in Afghanistan has been going on literally my entire life. It started in 1978. Last year, in 2019, they had...
Can't we all just get along?
What's your guess on number of deaths in 2019 in Afghanistan? And I'm not talking U.S., I'm just talking deaths because of the conflict total.
Let's say deaths because of the conflict, million.
1 year, Britt. 1 year.
Oh, one
1 year.
year.
Just 2019. Just 2019.
Let's just shoot for 200,000 people.
That's still a ridiculous amount. It's 41,735.
I didn't know
which is still that's the number one in the world right now.
I see what's going on. My iRig has died, and that's why I don't have any pull or way for this.
Okay. Do you
If
have a battery?
I have a battery, I could fix this problem.
All right.
So let me go see if I got a battery.
While you do that, I'll talk about the Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I
have one down here.
Yeah, Afghanistan is one of those countries. Like I said, it's been going on since 1978. But if you're talking like total losses, or the biggest conflict with the most amount of losses, you're talking Syria, which is number one. Been going on the longest with the most amount of deaths. That's going to be Afghanistan. So it's not just that the U.S. has been in there for so long, since 2000, I'm going to say 2002, 2001, right after September 11th. But it's been going on since 1978. So it's been a big issue. Some of the other major conflicts, the Mexican drug war. You're talking 41,000 deaths in Afghanistan this in 2019. In just last year for the Mexican drug war, which has been going on since 2006. I thought it was earlier than that, but 35,588 just in 2019. The next one, we talked about Yemen. That's been going on for a long time. Hey, Christian. The reason I didn't text you back is because we're doing this. Good to see you. And so 20,000 deaths in Yemen just last year. And then the next one is Syria with 11,000 deaths. There's like 55 conflicts going on right now. I do want to get back to the list of the top 10 for 2020, but while Britt's doing some audio stuff.
You want to do top 10? Let's do top 10.
All right.
I've still got my earballs on, and I'm listening to you.
All right.
Well, number one, tensions between United States and Iran. That's number one.
Yes. Well, not just Iran. So it's U.S., Iran, Israel, and the Persian Gulf.
Okay, well, if you
That's
want to
number
add,
one. Yeah, that's number one. Iran, they're actually doing some nuclear enrichment. They just basically said, "Screw you, we're going to start enriching and maintaining that, so we can start building warheads and all that." And the biggest problem I see with Iran, with nuclear Iran, is they have consistently said that they want to wipe Israel off the map. Which, if they have nuclear weapons, they could
do that.
Do that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. which then would pull in the United States because the United States backs Israel. And then the Persian Gulf as a whole, that's just been going on for a long, long time.
Jizz.
Yep. Number 2 is Afghanistan,
Yep.
which we've already talked about. Number 3 is Yemen.
Saudi Arabia, I thought, was number 3.
That was 2019.
All right.
That was 2019.
Fair enough. Maybe
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong chart.
No, that's all right. So Yemen is number 3, and this is also the 2020 list. So
Well, Saudi Arabia and then Yemen's below Saudi Arabia. And it's crucial that we get Yemen on the right page. If you don't know where Yemen is situated, it's situated between the Gulf and the Strait. Or the, not the Strait, the, what is that? The canal.
the Horn,
The
of
Horn.
Africa, right north of the Horn of Africa.
Well, it is literally the cargo freeway
threshold, yeah,
threshold.
for sure.
They are right there. They are the key of the passageway for cargo ships to go through. Essentially,
That's something. Let's put a pin in that one because there's another grouping that I want to talk about here later. But yes, being over there, we were trying. When I was over there, there were tanker ships trying to run us aground and all that in that little strait. So
right. I mean, if you wanted to be the gatekeeper, you have Yemen. That's what you do.
Yep. But there's also another one, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Number 4 surprised me.
Ethiopia.
Yeah, that surprised me. Ethiopia's always had a food problem, food crisis problem.
They have the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. He's trying to do stuff right for the country, but the problem is the people aren't agreeing with the way he's trying to do things, and it's just gonna just tear it all down. It's like he's trying to do good for the country and trying to rebuild and trying to do this new thing for Ethiopia and say, hey, we're better than this. Let's come together as a collective group of people and rebuild and be awesome. And the people are not being awesome is the problem.
Yeah. Which is a good direction for that, but that's also invites conflict because there's people that don't want that, and there's a lot of terrorist organizations popping up and radical groups in Africa, not just Nigeria, which there's a big problem in Nigeria, but yeah, that's going to invite inherent problems. Another African country, Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. I didn't write this down because I didn't know how to say it. Nice job.
Yeah, Burkina Faso. That is in another Central Eastern Africa nation.
Is it Eastern? I thought it was Western.
Eastern. I'm sorry.
Western.
Yes. I got.
Not that I'm very good on geography, but
That's
I
right.
knew where that one was
Yeah.
at.
If you look at the little corner of Africa where the Atlantic Ocean is, that's kind of north of that a little bit.
Did we even talk about the beer, or we just kept going on our
No, we
conversation?
did. We talked about it
All right.
briefly.
Yeah. It's very good, by the way.
It is very flavorful.
Toppling Elias, Super Sumo. Oh, yeah, we did. All right.
And we're back. And scene. Libya is another one.
The Libyans!
They're after me, Marty.
So Libya, I actually had kind of further down on my list, but yeah, I guess I must have been looking at a 2019. But yeah, Libya is definitely. Where did I have Libya? Let me go to the next page. Ah, right there.
There it is.
I had it as number 8.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what's going on with Libya, so everybody knows what is it? The main place to try Tripolia. I don't know.
Tripoli?
Thank you. I'm like Tripolia. I'm like
From the halls of
It's-
Montezuma to the little
so-
shores of Tripoli.
Tripoli is backed by the UN government. I mean, like they're the people. They are the UN's there for you guys. We're gonna take care of you guys. They're having a problem, and I'm gonna botch the name here. General Khalifta Halarta.
He probably stutters that much on his own
Yeah,
name, so it's okay.
Khalifta Haratar. Anyway,
You're putting the accent on the wrong syllable.
yeah. I wrote it out how I would say it, but it's probably not how it's written. Anyway, he's a general that's over there, and he's over on the other side, and Tobruk, Tobruk, but the O has an umlaut kind of above it, so it's Tobruk. Anyway, he's over there. So Tripoli is on the west side, and this Tobruk is on the west side. Anyway, this general is essentially blocking oil exports and all that stuff, and he wants to take over the country. He's like, I'm the guy. I should be running this thing. We need the UN out of here. I can just do this all myself. And so right there's conflict. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I don't live over there. You don't live over there. We don't live over there. But who's right and who's wrong? I would hope to say that the UN's right, and they're the guys that should be running all this stuff. But I don't know what the UN's doing over there that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what this guy has behind him, the general, to say, hey, I want to take this country over at my own because I know what's right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and there's a lot. Yeah. It could be he's trying to get too big for his britches.
Right.
Potentially. The next one on the list, U.S. and North Korea.
That was the next one after mine. And like I said, he had the right.
He's a wild card, man.
He is definitely the wild card, and I love how they made the movie about him.
Oh, you mean Team America?
No, not Team.
Oh, that was
a good one though. Team America was good, but there was another one where they took it from Fox Pictures, whatever. And
who was that? That was
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, and the dude from Pineapple Express.
Yeah,
and gosh, what's his name?
I know. People who are watching can fill us in. Can you guys actually give us the name of that?
Yeah, where they were interviewing him and they blew up the helicopter and all that.
Yeah,
that one.
It was a big controversy in Hollywood because it was like the picture got stolen or something like that, and or not stolen, but it was very controversial time making that film
for sure.
But yeah, it was like a big thing going out, and I love the music choices that they made in that movie, and it was hilarious.
I never saw the whole scene. I saw the helicopter scene though, for sure.
You haven't seen the movie?
No.
Oh, Brian, I own the movie, so I should give that to you.
Guess what we'll be doing later.
Watching that movie.
But yeah, we've talked about that before. The next one also surprised me. And for those of you that don't know where it is, this is north of India. It's a little place that we like to wear on our sweater vests, Kashmir. No, that's a little country just north of India. That one's actually having some issues as well with some terrorism and all that. And then Venezuela was after that, and then the Ukraine, which we've kind of talked a little bit about those, and we all know, especially about Ukraine, we know what's going on there. So I didn't want to spend too much
Ukraine. And then Ukraine, yeah, they've been battling for 6 years, and they're trying to resolve. So Ukraine. I don't know if y'all heard this up in the news and stuff.
You just went straight Southern, man.
I know. Well, everybody knows what's going. Well, hopefully everybody knows what's going on in the news between Trump and between collusions and between.
No, collusion was Russia. This was quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo.
The quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo. Well, Ukraine's got a new president, so Trump was trying to be, Trump and trying to get some information about some things that were shady, and seems like they were.
We're not going to get into.
But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get at is this Ukrainian president is trying to bring a 6-year-old conflict between Russia and the East to an end. Mm-hmm. And good for him.
Sure,
good for him. Good, sure. Go try to do that because, like I said, war. What's it good for? Let's get rid of it and be friends. Exactly. So more power to that new president, and I hope he can get things done and
for
all
sure
that stuff. So
yeah, kudos, Chris Pie 5 in the end. So that's the top 20, but realistically, sorry. Well, yeah, there was the 10 last year and 10 this year, so that is 20. But
all right, yeah, fair enough.
So, yeah,
but they've all just kind of jumbled and went from first place to 8th place, whatever
they just
place.
kind of moved. But if you want to look as a whole, how many conflicts are going around in the world right now? There are 55 conflicts globally that are what are going on right now, and so that's a lot of conflict going on.
If you got YouTube, you all have YouTube.
Hey Nancy,
just type in conflicts in 2020, and one of the first ones that'll pop up are conflicts to watch in 2020.
And that's the list that we just read off of.
Exactly, and it's pretty accurate. You can gain a lot of knowledge in 5 minutes, but it really just gives you a summary of what's going on in the world and what you should, really stay close to and watch.
So let's talk about some reasons for conflict. How about that?
Absolutely. Disagreement.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's
just the first thing that came to mind. Disagreement. That is number one. I do not like what you have or want to say. I disagree with you.
That would fall under the cultural values.
Yes.
Which is right here on my list.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Resources. That's the big one. I mean, we've been talking about food resources, oil resources. That's going to be potentially the next biggest conflict is over resources, both food and oil, or oil
and water.
Water. I don't know that that's going to be who controls the most fresh water for sure.
Well, and I did look this up, and it's tough to find truth out there in the world sometimes when you're on the internet. So
what?
No,
I saw it had to be true. I read it on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will let you know that everything we say on this show is 100% truth out of Brian and my mouth. 100% truth.
At least in our research that we have found.
In our research that we found, it's 100% truth coming out of our mouths.
Yes. Correct.
Well, and we're a little biased. It's our own opinion about things as well on this show.
Everybody's got an opinion.
Exactly.
Everybody's got a slant. We try and be as unbiased as possible, but we tend to lean a certain way.
So
everybody does.
In the research of running out of food and running out of water and all this stuff, I came upon this thing that says, is the world running out of clean water? And I went, is it now?
Well,
because the world is made up of 90%, something percent water.
I watched a YouTube video on this, so I'm an expert. So 80%, yes, 80% of the world is water, but you're talking about salt water. So,
but there's a weighted.
I know, but give me a second.
That up.
Give me a second here. Yes, that is one way we're fixing the problem. But yes, most of the world is salt water. It is not for human consumption. It does not grow plants. It can.
Well, yeah. If you drank salt water, you would just become more parched.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of fresh water in the world is actually fairly substantial. A lot smaller than the salt water, but the problem with that is 2/3 of that is in glaciers and areas that we can't get. So the 1/3 of the fresh water
draining Lake Michigan,
which is happening in places,
right?
I
know.
So
thought I brought that up.
Yeah, I know. There is very little in comparison to salt water. There is very little fresh water accessible in the world. So it's almost mind-boggling just how little it is.
So I was bringing this up with my wife earlier about, my backgrounds aren't changing anymore. I just realized that it's been on this mountain feature for quite some time now.
That's all right.
C'est la vie. We've had a lot of technical issues.
Look at all that frozen water.
Right, exactly. All that water up there. I brought this up with my wife earlier that we were going to be touching on food and water security and all that stuff, and she's just all like, well, to solve that, you could just purify the water and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, that's great and all, and I understand. Like, I have an RO unit, I get purification water. What happens when you don't have any water?
Yeah.
What if there is no water? Flint, Michigan, they have a ton of water, but it's all contaminated.
Right, I know, and that's still going on, by the way.
Yeah.
Those of you
not realizing. 17, 16?
No,
15?
This has been going for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, 15. Let's just say 2015.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's still going on. The problem is that we're not going to get into it.
Flint, Michigan is a problem. So is California. And the Nestle Corporation.
Yeah, well,
taking all the water.
Yeah, especially people in California.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Jinx, well, weeks. California is one of those. Here in the United States, I would say that the state here in the United States that deals mostly with lack of water or water restriction problems is California.
Well, and it doesn't help that the darn near entire state of California was on fire, and they had to use water to put the fires out, and now it goes into the soil.
I wonder if they, why don't they use salt water? They live off an ocean.
Right. 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 Now, I get, like, the inland part of California, it would take a while to go get water. Like, it was crazy.
It's not the closest water
I saw
source.
this video, and they were in their house, and all of a sudden this giant thing comes out of the air and just lands in their pool, and it's a big bucket, and it just it was a bag.
Like they were trying to get any water anywhere.
They literally just stole the pool water. They were like whoop, whoop, and flew off. I was like, I'd be like, good thing Becky wasn't in the pool at that moment. Like she'd just been gone. But I'm sure they were like,
spotter.
That pool's fine. Let's just take the water.
Yeah,
they were literally just taking water from anywhere they could.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, in an emergency?
In an emergency, you need to do that sort of
Which,
thing.
actually, then we're going to get into some of that in an emergency situation. Things that you should carry in your get-home bag.
Hey.
That's going to be on the next talk. But,
okay.
A little teaser.
Oh, we're not going to talk about it this time?
That's like, seriously, that would...
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, there's a lot that I want to talk about with that.
We didn't get to talk about it in September all that much, so...
No, we didn't. And
because... If we all know, September's Preparedness Month.
It is prepared, and along with other things, but yes, Preparedness Month is one of them. Some of the other reasons for, and I found this funny, reasons for conflict, approaches to conflict. That's actually a reason for conflict. On how people that try and de-escalate conflict, there's people that find different approaches to de-escalating conflict and end up getting in conflict themselves. I found that kind of funny.
You're trying to de-escalate conflict, but you get in conflict
exactly
just to de-escalate it.
Perceptions, which falls within your values, the cultural values and all that. Goals is a reason for that. Pressure. That's another
under pressure.
Political or otherwise, pressure is a reason for conflict.
Speaking of pressure and conflicts, one conflict that we did not bring up, I found it a little funny. Over in China, over in Hong Kong, they had people riding out in the streets. We'll talk about
rioting.
Rioting.
I thought you said riding out in the streets. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people rioting
out in the street. I think it was like October, November, December. I even think it was before October. So the government of Hong Kong wanted to go back to the state they were in and be part of China. Hong Kong was kind of a refugee zone for people that were not doing great things in China, and it was kind of like a home for them. Mm-hmm. And they found refuge there, and everything was fine because it was a separate state or separate country of its own, essentially, and had its own laws. And now Hong Kong wants to go, yeah, let's just go back to China and do the things that they do. And everybody in Hong Kong's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, you do that, I'm just going to go to jail. And I've been a great citizen and I've done nothing wrong. Like, I've been doing good here for you. And so there has been a lot of conflict in over there in Hong Kong.
If we're talking China, should we take a should we take a break?
Let's take a water break. Well, you're gonna need two of those.
Yeah.
And I got the limes in there. Funny you brought this up. I actually brought this up to my brother. I really didn't want to talk about it too much. We had it on the list of things to talk about, and so over in China, it's kind of funny how China now has this thing called the coronavirus, and now everybody in China has to just stay home and not do anything and just...
Well, here locally, we're actually dealing with it because they just brought 70 people.
They just flew them into Omaha.
And no, Ashland. Well, yeah.
They flew them into Omaha.
But they're going to Ashland, and everybody's freaking out about it.
They landed here in Omaha.
Yeah.
And so...
I'm surprised they didn't go to Offutt, honestly.
Which was weird because I did see a large amount of giant planes fly into Offutt the other day. Which the other day meaning yesterday.
The scouting crew, the crew that's going to Ashland to kind of the medical crew.
So to talk about the coronavirus, we're gonna drink Corona because I think it's hilarious that they have a virus named coronavirus, and I saw many memes of like women taking men's beer out of refrigerators and throwing them away. It's like, oh, you're not going to get the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Whatever.
I'll just put that in there.
So the coronavirus is a horrible thing that is. I'm going to do a double it up. I kind of cut them thin.
Yeah.
I kind of cut them thin. Ooh. That lime smells good.
There's your citrus flavor right there.
The Corona is kind of like the lemon, and then you put the lime in there. Put the lime in the coconut and mix it all together.
Drink it all up.
Drink it all up. But it's horrible. The coronavirus has taken the lives of 700 plus some odd people. I don't know the numbers.
That's just in China.
That's just in China. Can somebody, if you guys are watching live, we've got a few on YouTube and a few on Facebook. If you could actually give us a stipulation or a number stipulation of actually how many deaths have occurred because of the coronavirus, I wish I could do on. Yeah, I wish I could do on the fly hashtagging. But the coronavirus, I find it funny. Well, it's not funny. That's a horrible way to put it. I find it a little weird that there's all these, insurgents in the streets of Hong Kong and all these people marching and protesting and all that. But now they can't do that. They are now in their homes because of the coronavirus, and they can't do all this rebellious stuff. And I guess that's one way to stop conflict, is to insert another conflict of disease. And inserting a conflict of disease, we could go down the rabbit hole of they'll probably push a new vaccine on this. They'll probably push people have to go get medical help, which will increase the budget for like hospital. Oh, that's another thing. Check this out. They were trying to build a hospital so fast in China just to house the amount of people that are going to be needing hospitalization from the coronavirus. And there is it is kind of funny the amount of they call it an excavator. Essentially, what's the tractor with the big hoe on the front of it? Excavator. Thank you, the excavator. In China, they have this picture of trying to build this hospital, and I'm not joking. They've got like 90 excavators there,
that,
and I'm like, oh, just get them all. We need them all to build the hotel, to build the hospital.
I think they wanted to do that in like 48 hours or something like that.
Yeah, but it just looked like a scene from like a Dr. Seuss book. Like, just get them all.
The crazy thing, and I
cheers to the Corona, Brian. I haven't had one of these in years.
I know it's actually kind of crisp. I noticed right away the crispness of the flavoring.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's just like Guinness needs to be right around the world. So does Corona. Corona needs to be right around the world. When you go to China, when you go to Africa, when you go to America, and you drink a Corona, you go, "Yep, I know that flavor. I like that taste."
You know what I notice is in the video feed, the dry mouthfeel. There's a big dry mouthfeel. I
just didn't want to have an empty chair over there, Brian.
No, I appreciate that. I was just letting you know, hey, we're both here now.
Sometimes we got to talk to each other, talk to ourselves.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Nice.
Anyway, no. So this is a very crisp, very clear, obviously filtered, but I also have not had a Corona in a very long time. And
I used to drink Corona back in college. Yeah, that was my drink choice. Was like you had Bud Light or you had Corona, and that's it.
This has like a very dry mouthfeel to it, though. I was very surprised that it's not like a thirst quencher. It's
no,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's light. It's
a refreshing water break right now.
Easy drinkability, but yeah, it's got a weird dry mouthfeel.
maybe we're catching the coronavirus as we drink it. Ooh.
But it's not from Mexico. It's from Canada.
This
Or
is
from
this
China.
is interesting. From Mexico, and it says the North. So this reminds me of the vodka. This is from the North 7417B. So they're giving coordinates. So like you remember the North 40 was the vodka we used to drink in Iowa.
From
used to.
Lonely Oaks Distillery.
Hey,
Lonely Oak
sorry,
Distillery.
Lonely Oaks Distillery. If you guys are watching right now,
Lonely Oak.
we wish Lonely Oak Distillery. There was a whiskey tasting at an Embassy Suites.
Whiskey Fest is going on right now.
Right. Well,
Well,
it's over. It's
yeah.
done. But we wish we were talking about possibly doing that as a podcast, coming out there and doing that. But we felt that if we went there, our night would be there.
In our morning too.
Yeah, and our morning would be done there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we decided to do this instead. But we'll get back out there
Yeah.
and check you guys out over in Iowa.
Indubitably.
Yes.
So back to the talk.
Yeah.
Conflicts.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the conflicts and coronavirus and how weird it was that came out and now they can't march in the streets and people are dying and all that stuff. Has anybody given us a statistical number yet of
No,
how many people have died?
but Eric just popped on. I've got that though.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, where you?
Well, it was like 600 or 700 in actual China that had passed.
Coronavirus. No,
Yeah, well, we're just drinking the
it
Corona
was like
still.
690. It was just under 700 in China. The U.S. I think has one.
Well, their next move is pushing a new vaccine on us. Is really what they're
Well, yeah.
potentially going to do.
Right.
And I'm all for vaccines because they prevent, juvenile diabetes. No, that's not right.
I'm Wilford Brumley, and I'm here to talk to you about diabetes.
Hey, speaking of diabetes, there's a JDRF show coming up at CHI Event Center in 2 weeks. Not this Friday or not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And hey, come support that. If you are an avid listener to Z92, go ahead and jump on Z92 and check out their webpage, and
Find
you
out
can
about
go
that.
out to JDRF. And if you like 38 Special, they're going to be playing.
Hey.
So hey, that's kind of a cool thing. I should talk to Z92 and get publication on that. I don't know.
Make sure. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine though.
You directed them to the website, so you're just
Exactly,
you're
Z92.com.
information disseminator. Yeah. I did want to talk. So getting back to global conflict. Do you know what happened in the last couple months on global conflict, on policies and all that recently?
What has changed? Tell me what has changed.
Quite a bit. We actually have a law now
Okay.
here in the United States.
Perfect.
It started as the Global Fragility Act.
Fragility. That
Yes.
sounds like something that happens in the bedroom.
No, that's
Fragility.
That's flexibility
And that's fertility.
and fertility.
Yes.
Flexibility and fertility. This is fragility or fragile.
Gotcha.
Talking about fragile states or countries. Excuse me. This was proposed quite a while ago, but in December was actually brought before the House, went up to the Senate, and actually signed into law at the end of last year. The whole thing on Global Fragility Act is to stop conflict before it starts. Can we do that all the time? No, but this is what it does is it looks at states that have the highest. Well, let me just give you the definition of what a fragile state is. A developing country characterized by the weak state capacity or weak state legitimacy, leaving citizens vulnerable to the range of shocks or conflict. What does that mean? It means countries that are at a tipping point that could easily fall into conflict, whether it's because the government isn't recognized by the people, or that the government just doesn't care, or doesn't have the power or authority to do anything about it. So this act actually identifies those countries and any of the problems within there and tries to stem off conflict before it even starts.
Sure.
So they're at least trying to do something. And it is now actually a law here in the United States.
I'm glad they made it a law, I guess.
What does that mean for the global community? Well, the U.S. is a major player in the global community, so potentially it'll go into the UN.
Cool.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I can't.
Brian, I was in the bathroom the entire time. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's be honest with the folks here. Sorry, I was just agreeing to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree. But yeah, no, I just found that interesting that nobody was talking about that in the news, and it's kind of a decent piece of legislation. That
Brian, I'm going to let you in on some stuff. There's a lot of things the news doesn't talk about.
Yeah. What?
What?
We just came off of Media Slam, and I don't understand. Oh,
bars open.
Yeah, just now.
Just now.
These are all pre-drinks, pre-gaming.
Exactly.
So going to large-scale conflict. Let's get into World War III.
Okay.
All right?
I mean, it's going to happen eventually at some point in time. Maybe not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
It's the problem is we've had one, we've had two, we're going to have three eventually.
Do you know why we haven't had? Because World War I,
unless an asteroid comes and blows up the world.
Actually, that would unite all the people that are left.
That would unite, yeah, exactly.
But do you know why we haven't had any major?
We wouldn't have three if an asteroid hit us.
Yeah. Well, and a quick quote here. I do not know what is it? I do not know what the weapons of World War III will be.
Imagine Terminator 2?
No. This is an actual quote by a very smart person. But I do not know, and I'm paraphrasing the quote, I apologize. I do not know what the weapons of World War III will be, but the weapons of World War IV will be sticks and stones. Basically stating that World War III is going to be a nuclear war, and whatever's left, we're going to be, thank you, we're going to be fighting with sticks and stones. That being said, do you know why we haven't had any major wars since World War II? Because you're talking World War I to World War II, you're talking about 25 years between the two. And it's been way more than 25 years since World War II. So do you know why we have not had a major war, world war, since World War II?
Because we figured out allies and being friends with people go a lot further than going to war with them.
That's very close. Yeah. Economies. We have tied all of our economies together because of trade and all that.
So becoming friends and allies with each other.
Exactly. So,
so I was right on par with all of that saying.
Yeah.
I know way more than I know in my head.
I just don't let it known. No, after World War II, they decided to do that. They decided to tie economies together, and that is why we have not had
it makes sense. Hey, we have corn. You need corn. Cool. Mm-hmm. You have oil. Hey, cool. We need oil. Mm-hmm. Hey, you've got these neat cars. We'll take your neat cars. Yeah. Let's trade. Let's all be. There's this one place. It's called Earth that we all live on. Let's all be cordial and nice to each other because unless we're all going to Mars or the moon, this is what we got. Let's just deal with each other.
Britt, we've been to the moon.
We've been to the moon. Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. Let's colonize back on that.
Yeah.
Or build a space station instead. What? I don't get that.
They're talking about it. It'd be a nice jump spot to the great unknown. Anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be the Mall of the Bluffs to the moon.
Yeah, right. Hey, Scott. Hola from your señor.
¿Cómo está? Muy bien.
¿Dónde este baño?
Yes.
Anyway. So, Britt, do you know
we actually have some stuff over here on the YouTube too as well.
Oh, on the interwebs?
Oh, hey, we got the deaths. 813 deaths total.
Oh.
So
worldwide.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that.
Mucho apreciato.
Yeah, so getting back to that and the coronavirus.
Britt, do you know the top 5 global military superpowers?
Sorry, I was just reading this Just Candace person, and it was how many deaths? Or I don't watch TV. Read the comments, I guess. Sorry, ask the question again.
Top 5 global military superpowers.
top 5. Well,
Let's start with number 1.
Us being number 1.
Yes, by a long shot.
Unfortunately, we spend way too much on our military. Like our budget for military, you can see is like double everyone else's, essentially. China would.
Do you know what's in our budget for the military?
Like more than $3 billion.
No, I meant like what's actually included in that, not money wise, but like what things are in the military budget.
Billion. Let me restate that. $3 trillion.
Okay. So we have spent $6 trillion on the global war on terror.
Cool.
Just the United States has spent $6 trillion on the global war on terror.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, but in the military budget are golf courses.
Okay. Well,
in the desert, just FYI.
Colorado Springs, there's a golf course that's attached to the military base.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a golf course, so I totally agree with that situation there.
Anyway.
I mean, what some of the best deals are dealt on the golf course, hence why Trump has got his own golf course.
Yep. Okay, anyway, number 1 was us or U.S.
China.
That is number 3.
Really? All right, so number 2, I would have to say, wow.
Do you want a hint?
No. I want to kind of check this out for myself. Not South Korea, or North Korea.
Nope.
Wow. Is Europe as a whole, or United Nations, or not United Nations?
No, this is country.
Country. Great Britain.
This is Mother Russia.
Oh well, yeah, duh. Why didn't I think of that? I was like, didn't even see Russia. Yes, Russia definitely.
Then
would be
China, and then number 3. This is where it gets a little tricky.
Venezuela. No, I'm just kidding.
How do no?
Australia?
No. Actually, think of population. We've already done China. What's the next biggest one?
Well, you had Russia, but Russia's already number.
India.
Actually, I was literally thinking of India, and I should have said it.
Yeah, India is number 4. But then number 5 surprised me.
I'm all ears.
France.
And
actually, they have committed to putting more GDP, more of a percentage of GDP towards their military than any other country, like escalating.
Hey, Brian,
wise.
I'm going to throw this at you.
We come from France.
Fire the missiles! But I'm late tired. All right, we'll take a nap and then fire the missiles.
Yes.
The Earth is round.
Wrong.
Round.
Oh man, that is a great. That's like original. Like some of the first YouTube videos out there.
First comedy on
YouTube,
the internet.
On YouTube, but yeah, on the internet specifically. Yeah. But yeah, that's oh man. Holkai, here's the Earth.
It's
Dang,
round.
I know what you're saying.
It's
Dang,
sweet
that
Earth.
is a sweet Earth.
Sweet.
Wrong. Just if you type that into Google, I'm sure you'll find it. It's a cartoon, but anyway. So then, France is number 5. But the thing is, they have
and California breaks off to hang with Hawaii.
Okay, Alaska can come too. It's a hilarious video.
Curly thought Alaska was an island for a while.
Well,
it was always down there by Hawaii.
Yeah. So somebody had posted the other day that Pearl Harbor was an inside job because there was no way that Japan could fly all the way through the Indian Ocean, around the Horn of Africa, through the Atlantic Ocean on the south of South America, and then all the way up to Hawaii. It had to be an inside job. It's like, well, I mean, if it was a globe, then they would just have to fly over the Pacific. way shorter
than going that far.
Anyway.
And they may have had a midway island, like we had a midway island.
We still do, and there's a lot. You should see the birds, what's going on with the seagulls in Midway Island. That is some horrifying videos.
What's going on with the birds?
Plastic pollution, man.
The birds and the bees. Mm-hmm. Birds and the plastic. That'll be the next story.
Yep. So those are the top 5. U.S., Russia, China, India, France. Why do I talk about the top 5 global military?
The weird thing is, I just
superpowers?
don't... So, like, military, yes. But, like, I just don't see India with, like, submarines and, like, But they do.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was the pin that I wanted you to put in the... You were talking about Yemen.
I was.
Yes. I'm going to talk about India. Do you know why India needs a strong naval military force?
Because they are on the point of like they're the point.
That is one of the things.
They're the Florida of like the Gulf of that.
Yep. So I am very surprised. Now the list of the top 10 in 2020 conflicts to look for, I am very surprised that the South China Sea was not on there, because that is a huge thing that's been going on for a while.
It was in GoldenEye.
Well,
The South China Sea.
do you know what's going on now in the South China Sea?
Planes?
Well,
Too soon? Too soon?
China is literally building islands. They're making islands in the South China Sea to claim that area. Why
I claim this land for Spain.
Right, but why are they claiming this? So the Philippines and China are on this huge
So they're
dispute,
trucking in sand, essentially, or dirt,
making
and making
islands. It's crazy, and then putting military on these islands and all that. But
I'm surprised they're not like poking the bottom and saying, "Oh, there's volcano," and then volcano happens.
the amount of trade traffic that goes through the South China Sea is ridiculous. And that is
so
why
they're building a 7-Eleven just in case they need to gas up.
7-Eleven's still a thing.
I don't know. Quickie Mart. There we go.
QT. Yeah, whatever.
They're building a QT so that, just in case you need some gas so we can fill you up.
But what I want is a cutie. Anyway, that's why the South China Sea is a thing. And I'm very surprised that it's not on that list.
I when I was researching conflict and all that sort of stuff, nothing in the South China Sea came up.
Mm-hmm. But the reason I brought up the top 5 military superpowers was because of the list of possible wars that could happen. Not necessarily World War III, but the possible wars that could happen. I do want to talk about those right now and then kind of pick those apart as why they couldn't happen.
Perfect. So, in this musical interlude, we're going to switch it up and do something different.
And now for something completely different.
We'll go right back to the water and food crisis.
All right, you do that.
Oh, you're going to slip out?
Sideways.
That's fine. Well, it's going to lead into our next beer. So, that's why I was kind of bringing it up. So, we'll just play some music interlude, like do 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 do. No, I'm just kidding. Gosh, the South China Sea. When I think of the South China Sea, it reminds me kind of like Fifth Element, and when in Fifth Element he was getting delivery to his window from the Chinese man. And he's all like, "Oh, you should check your mail. It's gonna be good mail." And the Chinaman, he throws the letter at the Chinaman because he doesn't want to read it because he's just been getting bad news. And the Chinaman actually opens it up and it says, "You have been fired." and he's like, "Next meal's on me. No big deal." But the not just the Chinamen and the boat and the Fifth Element issue thing that was happening, but the whole fact of the way that operated, the traffic flow, and they panned out as I'm referring to the Fifth Element and the guy in the boat, that the Chinese man, he's like, "Open the letter, it's good news, good fortune," and he opens it up, he's like, "You are fired," and he's like, "Next meal's on me," but then he floats away. But there was just this traffic of craziness in Fifth Element. Not that the Chinese man was referencing the South China Sea, but it just made me think of the South China Sea and how busy it is,
for sure.
And just the traffic congestion of the South China Sea.
Well, and the reason for that is because of trade routes. If you're talking about where things are going and all that,
there are pinch points.
There are,
AKA Yemen is a pinch point of
Persian Gulf.
Yeah,
south of India, the South China Sea, the Mediterranean, the Strait of Hormuz.
Yep.
The Gibraltar. Those are all pinch points for trade. Panama. Those are all pinch points.
The Mediterranean.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So if India increase their naval forces, which they will, and actually their military is actually pretty darn good. The reason,
And when I think of India, I just don't think of like ships and submarines and.
but
and
they have a huge coastline. But the thing,
which makes complete sense.
and India, who does India at war with?
Nobody.
Exactly. So they can pull military tech from
Everybody.
exactly.
Because who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So they get the pick of the crop or cream of the crop.
I'm empty.
Wow, you did finish that. All right, what's the next one, Britt?
The next one is what I want to talk about, and I'm still on me, aren't I? I'll keep talking. It's your beer, Brian.
Oh,
your beer.
Oh, the one that I brought.
That's why I wanted to go full circle and come back around to crisis on food and water. And part of the reason why people think there's a crisis on food and water is because of global warming. And we're going to be drinking an iceberg here in a second.
Yeah. So, to preface this, I found this beer at Hy-Vee.
Shop Hy-Vee. That's funny you were at Hy-Vee. I was at Hy-Vee on Cass Street today.
Yeah, nice.
I hadn't shopped there in a while. And Brian, do you remember I used to work there?
I do.
I was in the produce department, and then they'd call me up for cashiering, and I'm like, "You haven't taught me how to cashier yet." And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, every time they were like, take me upstairs to do cashiering stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go pee," and then I just go down to put more produce.
Yeah, Hy-Vee was my first job, my first real job. But this beer is Icelandic beer.
Ooh,
From Iceland.
It's very golden.
Yeah, it is.
It's very golden.
Especially, I have a little bit left of the Corona over here.
Yeah. This is more of a sunset golden.
And it's really terrible to say, but this is what your urine should look like. And if it looks like this is a problem.
Well, technically, your urine should look like this, Brian. That's
yes.
technically, if
You
you're
want-
doing it right.
Well, you want a slight tinge to it because that's the you're flushing the system. Yeah, you're flushing the system.
Toxicities.
But yes, if you drink a ton of water, it should look like that.
Yep.
Yep. This is if it looks like this.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah, go see a doctor. Go see a doctor.
There's a
for
problem
sure.
with that. But anyway, this is Einstock, Einsto with an umlaut K, Icelandic Arctic Pale Ale. This is actually a pretty assertive IPA. I found this in the local section at Hy-Vee.
Because it's
Oddly
local.
enough. Yeah, But no, I've never had an Icelandic beer, nor have I thought of having beer from Iceland. But this is a triple hopped IPA.
You know,
Not double hopped, triple hopped.
I bought some Icelandic water, which you
That's
can.
got to be wonderful.
Yeah, I found it on Amazon, and it was delivered to my door for $8.
What I would think
I
of
got
Iceland
I got
water.
a 6-pack of Tall Boys for $8,
You know what I think when you said
and I used it to make my coffee. Right?
I envision Icelandic water like that little vial in Waterboy that he got from the shaman,
Yes.
and he healed the person.
Water.
That's how I envision Icelandic water. Just
Half
like
an hour,
healing.
half an hour, half an hour, half
That's
an hour.
not from that movie.
Water. Oh no, I was thinking of Water World.
Yes, you are.
Water World is where we're going here.
If the ice caps melt.
If the ice caps melt, which that is, they are definitely melting faster than they used to be. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're doing this. It's all our fault." Well, no, this is just a transitional period in the way the world works. It gets hot, it gets cold. It's the Stone Age, it's the modern age. It's just the way the world is doing itself. If anybody wants to if anyone wants to contest the fact that because we're putting some pollutants up in the air, one volcano goes off equals 50 bazillion cars. Okay.
So one of my favorite quotes
Yeah.
from George Carlin in his stand-up routine. And I'm going to go through kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. A volcano heats up everything.
Save those bees. Save those trees. Save those whales. Save those snails. Folks, the world has been around for billions of years. It's going to be around for another billion years. The earth is fine. we're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed.
But the Earth is fine.
Yeah. Here's to Iceland.
Yes. Oh man, this stuff is so good. It's after going from the Corona to this.
Oh yeah.
This is a hazy, triple hopped IPA from Iceland. You can definitely, it's like full flavor.
This is like Arctic water.
Yeah.
Like I can taste Arctic water in here.
Yeah. The water for sure is different.
And that's a big thing in breweries is their water.
The number one.
Same with pizza, nonetheless. If you want to have a good slice of pizza, Nola's Pizza. You've heard of Nola's Pizza in Blackstone, and they're also
for sure.
It's because of their water. They ship their water in, and it's a specific type of water.
Not a Pacific type of water.
Speaking of specific type of water, there is a Phillips 66 in Dundee.
Gas station, for those of you that don't know what a Phillips 66 is.
You know Dundee. Middle of Dundee, there's Phillips 66 there.
Which is surprising that they're still around.
So, well, you need a gas station.
But Phillips 66 I thought was acquired, like Amoco. There's no Amicos around.
Maybe it's not Phillips 66 anymore.
Anyway.
But back when I was there.
Back in the day when I was young and not a kid anymore, but sometimes. Anyway, sorry.
I love that. That was great. I lived in Montana, right? And I went there, and they had Big Sky water.
Oh, yeah.
And I went, and I'm like, what is this? So I grabbed it off the shelf, and I paid for it, and I took it in my car, and I went, go, and I went,
this is water from Big Sky.
oh my gosh. I put it down, went inside, bought 2 more. Because I was like, this is the water that I knew when I lived there. Like, literally, I lived in like a
commune.
It was kind of like a dorm, but like
cult.
No, Brian, come on, stop. They were nice apartments, but we all shared the bathroom. You know, so it was kind of like a dorm, but like
community
you had
bathrooms.
condos.
Yeah,
you know,
community bathroom. Like cheap apartments.
You literally could go to the faucet and go turn on the cold water, and then an hour later, it's still ice cold, and you're like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. Like, don't take a shower with it on cold because it's freezing.
It literally comes out on ice cubes.
Exactly. But it was amazingly good water, and I bought them out of water, and then I went back like the next week, and I'm like, where's the water? And they're like, oh, they don't supply us anymore. I found the supplier and went to them.
Why don't you have this water?
And I said, hey, how do I get the water to my house? Like, I will pay you to deliver the water to my house. And they're like, that's not our territory anymore. And I'm like, no. Like,
what is your territory? I'll buy a box truck and I will load up.
So there's a place over in Iowa, and they can get Montana water. I don't know if it's Big Sky Montana water, but they can get Montana water, and I've yet to go over there yet. And it's
yet to go over there yet?
Yet to go over there yet. It's like a wellness fitness chi house, you know, like
they're all looking out of their third eye.
Exactly. So I do want to go over there and kind of check it out, and buy some water and be like, hey, is this the same stuff? And if so, now I've got my supplier for water. But I was sorely I was a little disappointed. I was disappointed. I'm like, disappointed. Anyway, it all has to do with the water. Getting back to the beer and the water and all that sort of jazz. Speaking of getting back to the water, climate change and the problem with that, and hence why we're seeing a lot of dry zones and
dead zones in the ocean. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. I want to get into conflicts because that's where we were.
All right, fair enough. I just wanted to have the tie-in for the Icelandic thing, why we were drinking that, because of the good water they have up there.
If you can find it, and I put the can up there so you can look at it. So let's go through some possible war scenarios and why they could or could not be lead to war. Fair?
Sorry, I was zoomed in on your hand for some reason. All right. Don't do that. Don't look there.
So China versus the U.S.
Yes.
That is a possible war scenario, but why could not?
Why would it be?
Yes. I want your version of it.
So the reason why the U.S. would not go in war with China is because 70% of the stuff that we have on our shelves is from China, and we need that. And
so this is China attacking the United States.
oh, reverse that. We buy all that. So,
Yeah, but
you know
also,
what I'm saying?
Yeah, our economies are trade dependent.
I can flip over my coffee mug tomorrow at work and it'll say made in China on it. That is why they won't attack us, because we buy their stuff.
Vice
And
versa.
they need our money because of
Money
that.
and stuff. There's a lot of stuff
Exactly.
in China that they like from America.
Yeah.
Specifically cars.
So to keep the economy rolling, if China decided to go to war with United States, China's money supply would be cut off.
Yep.
And vice versa. United States money supply would be cut off because we're in trade with each
we're
other.
going to get into that. Don't jump ahead yet.
All right. I'm not jumping ahead, but that's
yeah.
the truth of the matter.
So, if it did happen, war between both countries would actually be extremely detrimental to both, which would affect the world in general because the economies of China and the U.S. are so big that it would affect everyone else.
Right.
The next one, Russia versus the United States.
I like to think Putin's a good guy.
Except he was the head of the KGB, which is...
I think that if Russia went to war with us, we would have the backing of a lot of other countries that would give him a stern, "Ooh, W2F. What are you doing, man?"
the Europe in general.
Exactly. There would be a lot of people staring down his throat to go, "Why you mess with the United States? We're friends with the United States. Like, if you mess with them, we're going to have to start messing with you." So Russia's kind of going, all right, I'll stay back here.
Also, we've been in talks with Russia lately to gain some kind of diplomacy between the two.
Ukraine. Talking to Ukraine.
Well, I'm not talking Ukraine. I'm talking Russia specifically.
Well, Russia in the east,
I know, but let's leave you because there's a lot of countries that border Russia that Russia thinks that they're Russia, but they think that no, we're our own country. So,
all right, fair enough.
yeah, that's we know Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah, so it's part of Russia.
No,
Russia thinks that we're part of Russia, but
we're not.
Yeah.
We like their vodka.
yeah.
That's good.
Plus, there was all that Russian collusion. So,
Ayo. Way to
Anyway.
full circle that one, Brian.
yeah. Anyway, so the next one that I had, Syria, war with Syria.
Okay.
We're already pulling out of Syria, so
Well, here's the problem. If Syria, we would never go to war with Syria, but if Syria tried to attack us, come on, Brian, it's the United States.
Well,
Syria's not going to win.
the problem is Syria had the backing of Russia,
Right.
and we jumped
But
in there because
Russia's
of war
not going to
crimes.
do it because
Exactly. That was why Syria was kind of the playing ground of the potential of World War III.
you saying Syria's holding the ace. Is what they're saying.
No, I'm just saying.
I got Jack King Queen, and he's got the ace.
I was just no. It's more like he's got the sand. That was the box. We're both trying to play in it.
All right. Good analogy. Good analogy. Glad I said it the way I said it.
Yep. And then the last possible before we get into ones that will actually happen. These are ones that we don't think will happen. But the last one was Ukraine.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Africa attacks.
No, Ukraine.
They unite and
Yeah.
they attack us.
And I'm not going to get into politics and all that. So that one's just we're not going to go to a war with Ukraine.
No.
Here's the possible World War III scenarios that I think personally that have potential. Not that they would happen because, as I stated before, a lot of our economies are all tied in together. So
North Korea.
I think that was number one. North Korea and Iran. Because if you're talking world war,
Now,
it'd have to be both.
my only problem is North Korea is the size of, Montana?
But they're also nuclear.
Right.
That's a big thing.
That's a big problem.
And Iran is becoming nuclear. And so if Iran, so that would create a war on two fronts. It would create a war in the West.
so you're
against North Korea.
saying that they would bring the war to us?
No. So what I'm saying is,
it'd still play out over there, but
if North Korea attacked anybody, and depending on who they attacked, would create who sides with who. Like if North Korea attacked South Korea, obviously because we're big partners with South Korea, the United States would jump in. But China, that's the wild card. Who do they side with? Because both of them border China.
The South China Sea.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a wild card. But if North Korea sent missiles to China, you know what? We would help China out because we're a big trade partner with China.
We would, absolutely. We would definitely jump in that boat and
If
go over
North Korea fired a nuclear missile at the United States, I think the world would, because we're
If they fired one over here and tried to get it over here, it would only make it halfway over here,
Right.
for one, and it would explode up in the air, and it was no big deal. And then we would just Hiroshima the crap out of them or something. I don't know what we would do, but we would definitely do something to that nature.
Yep.
Like, come on, dude. But I don't know. I think here's what I play out. North Korea shoots one over here. We explode it, and we go, don't do that again, man. Like,
yeah,
come
but then
on,
you still
come
have
on,
that,
man.
But that would be worse than Fukushima. You know, the radiation levels that came here, the fallout.
You know
from
what
that,
would Alaska would suffer, and Canada would suffer a little bit. That's what would happen.
That's a big deal, though.
But to retaliate and innocent people are over there in North Korea, not knowing any. They really don't want to be the. I just don't foresee, like, when we were at war with China or Japan, and we want to retaliate. We retaliated. We did.
Yeah. They woke the sleeping bear,
Exactly.
sleeping giant.
Exactly. So we retaliated.
Yeah.
I just don't think that would happen again. I think it was if North Korea were to shoot one over here, we have laser beams and things of that nature to take that stuff down. And we would take it down, but then we go, dude,
No,
I'm sorry, man.
If they launched a nuclear weapon at us, the entire nuclear community would be like,
you messed up. You messed up.
Yeah. You done messed up, Aaron. You done messed up.
Go to the principal's office, Aaron.
Principal O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy.
Oshak Hennessy. That's what it is. Principal Oshak Hennessy.
And I said, did you really call her that?
I said... Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's one possible
little reference to Keenan and Peele.
Keenan and Peele, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, but for me, North Korea wouldn't do it alone. It'd have to be North Korea and
an ally
and Iran to create a two-front war, to do a world war.
That would be terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. Terrible. If Iran attacked Israel and tried to wipe them off the map with nuclear weapons, and North Korea launched, no matter who it was against, that would be two fronts. I think that would be a huge world war there. China and Russia combined.
Oh, that would be a force to be reckoned with.
Right. Exactly. So you're talking about the number 2 and number 3 superpowers for military combining against potentially us. But
just to think about that, like, okay, for you to actually go to war with us, let's say China goes to war with us with Russia.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, sometimes. Let's just think about this. China and Russia team up. They're like, hey, high five. We're going to be friends. We're going to go to war with the United States of America. And so they get together and they get on the same radio waves together. They get on the same communication together, and they create a team of people to come over here to the United States and take us out. And so they're gonna just like gain our territory. Like they're gonna blow it to smithereens, get us out of here, take us hostage, and then whatever's left, they're gonna reclaim the land of their own. And then what? What do you do with the claimed land that you have set on fire, blown up, gotten rid of people, and done that too? You can't trade with yourself, you know, like, so China takes us over, China's in place, and now it's their land and it's their people over here. And it's all like, cool, now we trade with, other people that aren't taking our money because they're the same people over there now. I can't fathom the fact of China and Russia inheriting our land and then trying to work a trade deal out with itself if they take over the United States of America. They take over. They blow us up. They get us out of here. They take us hostage. And now, instead of it saying United States, it now says China, Russia, and now it's their land. I mean, like, what do you do? It's like, okay, now cool, we got land over there now. Like,
well, we got
what do you do?
We got the South that builds these.
And Mexico and Mexico and Canada would be like, hey, what's going on, eh? Like, all of a sudden, this is their land now because they decided to do what they wanted to do with it, I guess. So I just don't. Everything is just working and jiving right now. Mm-hmm. Everything's fine. Everybody's trading with each other. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less. But all in all, it's a good melting pot, working area of China's over there, Russia's up here, we're over there. We all trade with each other because we have stuff you need and you have stuff we need, and it's a good thing. And to go to war. I mean, I don't know if they knew what they had back in World War I and World War II. I don't know. The trade stuff was not set up, and
it was post World War II.
Exactly. That stuff was not set up. I
do want. So I just want what you were talking about. It reminds me.
I just can't fathom them coming over and just being like, now it's China, Russia, and this is their area, and it's all like, cool. We'll trade with. Oh no, those are our people now. Who do we trade with now? Like, what do we do now?
So there's a pop culture reference specifically to what you're talking about.
Okay.
The movie Red Dawn.
Yes.
Both the original and the remake. So the original was the Russians coming. The remake was China coming. And if you were to come into the United States and try and take over land, all I have to say to you is,
okay, bye.
The South. The North is a little different, but the South, they like their guns. And
they call it the Bible Belt, too.
Well, that's the Midwest.
Yeah.
From Texas on up. That's the Bible Belt.
We were talking about that earlier this week at work.
But some of the guns that they have in the South, they build for fun. One of my favorite. So there's a stand-up comedian. I forget who it was, but he's like, if you want to attack the United States, I just want to remind you that there are
human beings down south.
There are machines that we build that have 700, 800, 900, 1,000 horsepower, and we run them in a circle for fun. What do you think we're going to build when we're pissed off?
Yeah.
Most
of the military guns came out of the South, and that's only half of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We're not going to show you the other half because I don't even want to hold it.
Logan, you just commented on something on the opening ceremony for the China Olympics. I did see that. It's unbelievably amazing. And what I would say to that is, I also watched.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, well, and this just the technologically standpoint. So there was another TED Talks that I watched.
I just wanted to say, Logan, thanks for being an avid watcher and listener to this program.
Yes.
Logan and I...
He said hi earlier.
Logan and I have known each other for a long time. We work for the same affiliated company, and but he is down in Texas, and I'm up here. And, hey, if I ever need your help, Logan, I want you up here in a heartbeat. But yeah, good guy. I haven't seen him in like 4 or 5 years. It's been a while.
So
maybe not 4 or 5 years.
When you come to Omaha, so we can have a beer.
Exactly. Take a trip up here. I'll show you a good time.
Yeah, or we can take a trip down there. And
actually, we are going to be going to.
We are.
Where are we going?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. We're going to Riverwalk. So I don't know how far away that is from you, but we're going to be down there this summer. So Logan, maybe we all can meet up and have a beer for sure.
Yeah. He had commented on that. What I want to say to him specifically on China, I did watch another TED Talks, and I'm a big fan of.
And we should do a show while we're down there.
I agree.
San Antonio, and Logan, you could be on the show while we're in San Antonio.
Boom.
Make yourself available. It's going to be the first week in June or so. I believe is what it is.
Not first week. I think it's like
first or second,
third week.
It's in June.
Yeah, it's in June.
Yeah.
Talk to us later. Send us a message, Logan. So anyway, this professor from Cambridge, and he was talking about specifically China and the United States. And he said at Cambridge, he's a professor there, and out his window there was a bridge, and it was being reconstructed. And the local government, which was in the New England states, I'm not going to say which one.
New England clam chowder.
Yeah.
Is that the red or the white? I don't know.
Never remember that. White. Anyway, he could see this bridge outside of his window, and it was projected to be a 2-year project. And after 2 years, the government came back and said, it's going to be 1 more year. And after 1 more year, the bridge still wasn't done, and it didn't give an extended date. And it ended up taking like 4 years to rebuild this bridge. And it was a 4-lane, and they wanted to make it like a 6-lane. So there was some engineering, massive engineering that needed to happen to extend it or whatever. So he said, now compare that with a bridge over in China. And he actually did it over the same dates as this particular bridge, which was like 2012 to 2015 or 16 or whatever. And he said during that exact same time, there was this bridge over in China that needed to be rebuilt. And the bridge itself was infinitely more complex. It had more lanes in it. And he did a time-lapse video of it. And he proposed this question to the audience. He said, before this time-lapse video ends, I want you to tell me how long that bridge that took 4 to 5 years in the United States took in China. And the answer was 43 hours. The bridge in the United States ended up being less complicated. It was smaller and had a lot of people working on it. Took 4 to 5 years. In China, it was more complicated. They had more people working on it.
Sure.
43 hours is all it took.
To build a bridge?
A way more complicated bridge.
Well, now,
not build a bridge, tear one down and reconstruct one.
And I saw that happen.
43 hours.
And I saw that happen. I saw that time-lapse video.
Yeah.
They shot it and did it. It took a lot of mathematics and a lot of scheduling.
Yep.
To make that happen.
That goes
first scheduling. Not only just scheduling,
like your hospital. The hospital.
Yeah, you can't just schedule human being. You got to schedule the right cement that cures.
Are you talking here in the United States?
No, I'm talking
over in China.
To make something happen in 48 hours, scheduling is key.
Yeah.
To have the right elements in the right place at the right time to make things happen.
But they also have a ton more people to work with as well.
Well, Brian, you're talking about timing and curing and processes of elements. Brian, you need to have the right elements in place to make things happen. But I want to jump back to the fact of we were talking about we have bigger guns and all that stuff. I was just in the restroom, and I want to show these right here. So what people don't know, these are shell casings from the Sea Whiz.
The Sea Whiz, yes.
This is on board a aircraft carrier or
So really the Sea Whiz is it's a defensive weapon in the United States Navy, and what it does is
this is only half. So there's a bullet that sticks up this much higher.
Yeah, those are just the casings.
These are just the casings. This is half of the size of the actual bullet, and 60 of these go in per second.
Per second.
So 60 of these get shot off per second every time this thing fires.
Yep.
So this is only 4 of them.
And that gives you, so to give you an idea, you really can't get the size comparison on those. A full inch.
Here's a beer can.
There we go.
There you go.
A full one is 5 inches in length.
It's almost double this.
Yeah.
It's the tall boy.
Yeah.
It's a tall boy can.
Yeah. So they're electronically fired. If you want to look up videos of what a Sea Whiz is, it's capital C, capital I, capital W, capital S. Sea Whiz.
Sea Whiz. But that's just one of the guns in our military that we have that can just fire 60 of these bullets
per second.
It
literally
goes boop, and there were 60 of them.
Yeah. I have stood 10 feet from one of those.
You don't want to stand 10 feet from one of those.
I had double hearing protection. I had the foamy in the ears, and I had the Mickey Mouse ears over, and it was still loud, and your entire
body shakes.
Not shakes. vibrates. I mean, it is like your cells are vibrate. It is the weirdest feeling ever, and it's almost a continuous sound. It's so fast. Yeah, like it,
and I'm doing it no justice. That sound I just made.
But yeah, look up those are very impressive videos if you want to see a Sea-Whiz firing. That's CIWS, Sea-Whiz. Yeah, go watch those. That's super fun. And that's what we build for defensive weaponry.
Weaponry.
I have one that you should try.
Well, that, or do we want to go back to the one we had at the beginning of the modern times? Oh,
Or
Rogue. Dude, that can looks like it's straight out of the 90s.
right? Doesn't it?
It definitely. I love the boat on it. Rogue Newport, as in the cigarettes. Newport Lights.
Yep.
Newport Nights. My fault.
Nights.
Not
Newport
Lights.
Nights.
Newport Nights. This is hilarious.
I know.
I want to put this can right up here. I want to zoom in. Oh, I'll bring it back a little bit. Shwink. Oh, wrong way. This is awesome can. This is what kind of boat is that? That's a cigar boat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, a cigar boat is like made of like wood. That is more of a race boat.
It's like a pontoon style
Like a
boat.
90s
it's
race
a
boat.
pontoon race boat. What? I don't know. They're not.
No,
cigars.
it's just got the. It's a. So it'd be more
Well,
like
this is a pontoon. You pontoon,
No,
and then you have the space in the middle. So these are what they travel on.
No, that's
It's not a pontoon boat, as in Brian, a 8-person craft boat.
Yeah.
But this is the style of it is called a pontoon because it's
Dual hull.
Dual hull.
dual hull.
There you go. Dual hull.
Dual hull. Yeah. So I found this beer again at Hy-Vee. It's a fantastic, and I'm a fan of Rogue. They do a lot more than just beer. They have a gin out also, which is awesome. They have Dead Guy Ale, which I'm a fan of.
I love on the back how it says "Dare, Risk, and Dream."
Yeah, and the can art is like straight from the '90s, like Britt said, for
Dude,
sure.
It reminds me of RoboCop.
Yeah,
You
for
know
sure.
what I mean?
Logan, late '80s or early '90s, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
The purples and the blues and the reds. Yeah.
yeah. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Big bada boom.
All right. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, you can smell it. for
Wow.
sure. You can smell the citrus from it. Yeah, very citrusy.
Tell me more about this beer. Can I?
Rogue. Oh man, that's juicy. Super juicy.
So this is West Coast IPA ale brewed with El Dorado hops, and I can tell
That's
the
what-
El Dorado hops. I can definitely taste it. 9.8%, Brian, 60 IBUs, and a 11 SAM. I don't know what SAM is. SAH maybe SASR SRH. I don't know what the 11 SRH is. There's nothing quite like a night out in Newport. From a craft beer and the freshest seafood to the bonfires on the beach. This one's dedicated to Newport and the unforgettable nights of having fun in the 101. And 101, is that a highway that runs through there?
No, I was gonna guess area code. 101.
Area code 101. All right, yeah, that could be right.
No, that can't be right because you can't dial 1 without doing the area code. So that you might be right, Britt. That might be a
highway that
Yeah.
runs through there. The beer opens with an aroma of mango, paella, and tangerine, followed by an atom bomb of pine and grapefruit notes that ultimately settle into a surprisingly smooth finish.
The only thing that I don't get is paella, but that's just because I don't know what paella
And they have
tastes
a
like.
giant. Have you not had paella,
I have
Brian?
not had paella.
Oh, there was one time we were.
We're getting way off topic.
We
right
are
now.
way up top. Well, this is tropical citrusy, pine bitter, and malty. Paella, Brian. Where were we at? Remember the House of Loom?
Let's get back on topic real quick. Let's get back on.
Paella is great.
I've
Brian.
only got a
you
few.
and I need to go out
Yeah.
for some paella sometime.
All right, I've just got a few more things that I want to finish up on this.
Hey, these haven't melted yet, so we're doing all right.
So the first one that I talked to you about was China attacking the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
This one is the U.S. attacking China. The reason here is because the U.S., as we know it in the world is number one in a lot of things. It's number one in the world in military. It's number one in the economy. It's number one in trade. So
I guess my question would be why we would do it and
Here's
what
the-
we would do with it.
here's the thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm about to answer all of that right now.
I want to hear that.
All right, so China's goals right now in 2025. Oh, so I told you 40 years.
Destroy America 2025.
No.
Now, if that's their goal,
not
that's
yet.
fine. Let's take them out.
All right, so
if that's their goal.
I had talked to you earlier in the podcast about 40 years ago in 1978. 90% of the population lived on less than $2 a day.
Yeah, which I found amazing because I'm like,
Right.
if I could do $20 a day, I'd be happy.
In 2018, when that study was conducted, 99% of the people lived above poverty level. So that's a huge shift in 40 years. By 2025, which is only in 5 years, they want to have the entire population over the poverty line. Excuse me.
It's that coronavirus.
Yeah, it is. And these are
No,
these,
seriously, I'm not joking. I had a Corona earlier today.
the
I was like,
burping?
I should probably try this before I have it on the show. And I'm like, man, these Coronas make me gassy.
Yep, it's coronavirus. So these are actual goals that the government has laid out. So 2025, they want to have the entire population above poverty line. By 2035, so we're talking 15 years, they want to be number one in most of the measures for a country, economy, military, etc. They want to be number one in a lot of those. And by 2049, which is still in our lifetime, they want to be number one in all of them. Now, here's the thing with that. In history, the number one seated authority has been disrupted by the number two 16 times in history. Of the 16 times, and I'm talking human history as a whole, of those 16 times in history where the number one was upseated by number two, 12 of those, of the 16, have resulted in war.
All right.
So we are number...
That's totally making sense in my mind right now.
We are number one. If China tries to advocate or tries to...
Say, I'm number one.
Yeah. Then
We might have to prove our dominance.
even though we as a populace here in the United States may be like, whatever, the politicians would not go for
We
that.
spend
Military-
billions, and billions.
Trillions.
That's why I kept saying billions and billions over again.
Yeah.
Because Trump says that and they repeat that from time to time. Billions and billions and trillions, more than they do.
Yep.
Even though if
That to me is the only way we go to war with China is if they try to upseat things. And as a populace, I think we'd generally be okay with that. But like the military and politicians would not go for that for sure.
well, even just the general public would go,
Well, I mean,
Hey.
initially, but it's
come
like
on. I don't like buying China things, but I still buy the China things.
here's the thing about
Because you know why? They're cheap and whatever. It's fine.
Right. Here's the thing about like the Chinese. So we do not have here in the United States. We do not have Chinese automobiles. But if they could offer you
Honda's not China?
Japan,
Oh, it's Honda.
yeah, Japan is Honda.
Kawasaki?
Yeah. Yeah. So we do not have.
Suzuki.
But they have a lot of vehicles that are very similar to United States vehicles, but way cheaper. So if China were allowed to have vehicles here in the United States, they would literally be half the cost. So if you could pick up that
Why can't we do
the
that?
Chevy Tahoe for $25,000, yep. Definitely would.
Why don't we do that?
Because that's why they don't do that. Because China can offer because of the way the labor is over there, they don't pay them anything. They can make a product, ship it over here for half the cost. Nice.
Well.
That was a nice little segue there.
How do we fix that? How do we make a level playing field for
Labor
the world?
I hate to go with the
Don't
union route.
go union, Brian, because
No,
that's not going to happen. Just pay adequate wages to your people, but
That's-
also provide a decent product at a low cost. Well, part of the reason is companies are greedy. People are greedy.
Yeah.
Not companies. People are greedy.
Yep.
So there is that. All right.
I think we're going to get into other topics. I think we're kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, I mean, we could wrap up, but
Because
could go on for another hour about this conversation. That's why you chose it, because, Brian, you and I needed to go back on the same path of solving the world's problems one drink at a time, and that's why I chose this to be our episode for tonight.
Right.
Is because
and we
this
talked
is
about
such a difficult,
for sure,
also informational topic for our viewing audience out there. You know?
Absolutely.
It's definitely something that you should take kindly to heart, because, like I said, open up your cupboard and grab the first thing you can. It is going to be something from China. I mean, it's going to be if it's not Russia, it's probably India or China that's right on the bottom of that cup. We depend on them as much as they depend on us, and we're in this fight together. We are like I said, we all live on this one place we call Earth, and we have to share this thing we call Earth, and we all have to get along, and the only way we can get along is to share things. And so if you are fighting to take over things, which is the weirdest thing I can ever think of, North Korea is in a space between Russia, China, and South Korea. And so they're kind of jammed in the middle of this thing. And they're doing this thing on starting their nuclear program to expand themselves. And I just don't get why they're trying to expand themselves. I don't get, can't you just be happy with what you've got and control the people that you do have already? Because, I mean, frankly, that's what North Korea is doing already, is controlling the people that they already have. And if you haven't seen that movie, go out and see that movie. But they really filter the internet and don't show them anything. North Korea shows their people nothing. It's here. If you want to talk about our news not showing us anything, North Korea doesn't show their people anything. They don't even know what the price of an Amazon candle is, because they just can't go to Amazon because they've restricted that from their people. And the fact that they're trying to be nuclear and trying to say, ha, we're going to come after you, I just kind of laugh at that and go, okay, come after us. Come after us. What are you going to do with it if you get it?
The problem is if they don't...
You don't have enough, if you had a barrage of people, if North Korea had just so many people that went, yes, we're going to take down the United States, and we're going to blow them up, and we're going to go over there, and we're going to do it. You don't, because your people are blind, essentially, because you're keeping them under the, nothing's going on. Over here, I'm lighting stuff off. Shh, don't say nothing. Look the other way, I'll feed you, whatever. North Korea just don't have the backing of the people. And then let's fire something over there and oh, yep, you took the United States down. What do you do next, North Korea? What do you do next? You're like, cool, I got some land over here. I got some rivers and things. What do you do?
The problem with that analogy, and I'm not saying that's wrong.
I mean, he's proving that he's a supreme leader. That's what he is doing.
That's where I was going. So that's the thing.
He's proving that.
It's a dictatorship.
But what do you do? Look, you win.
It doesn't.
You won. You shot us up. You blew us up. You took over. What's next? What is the next move? You go. What is your next move to after you conquer the United States?
It's not
going to happen. Sorry, it's not going to happen. But let's just say it does. What's the next move?
Okay. Can I talk now?
I just think it's ridiculous.
You are extremely passionate about this, and what I would say to you is that's why he's such a wild card. He's a dictator. He doesn't need the will of the people to acknowledge what he did. He can just do it.
What's your game plan? Let me see your game plan, and I'll go, well, maybe that's a little justifiable. It's never going to be justifiable. But still.
It doesn't need to make sense. He's a wild card. That's why it's so unpredictable.
All right. Fair enough.
That's why he's the wild card.
This is great, Brian, by the way.
I know, right?
Nice job.
Thank you.
Way to end the nights.
I do kind of want to talk about, just to wrap kind of this whole thing up, should you be worried about World War III?
No.
Not in the near future,
No.
for sure. Should you be worried about large-scale conflict?
15 years from now, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
We can't put a year on it.
There's
no year on it.
Yeah.
We talked at the beginning of this program about the 10 conflicts to look at in 2020.
But we were talking about as large scale, like worldwide.
We went from South America to Africa to we went all over the entire world on the demographic of what was going wrong in a lot of different places.
We did.
So, and you know what? There's always going to be something wrong somewhere. Brian, we've got potholes.
We
do.
We do.
There's always going to be something wrong somewhere, everywhere, always.
I want to send our road crews up to Minnesota and have them learn something from Minnesota.
Oh, my gosh. So as the viewing audience knows, I was up there at the beginning of December, and I was on this Indian reservation at their casino doing an event, and literally it snowed, and an hour later there was parking spots everywhere, no problem, no snow anywhere. And you're like, what? Did you flame torch everything? just clean it up?
No, they heat treat everything.
The smart thing was they closed an area down, and they knew it was going to snow the night before. They closed an area down. They plowed it as it was snowing, and then they opened that area up. Cars can flood in. You divert, and have this lot get filled up, and you clean that lot, and you move them out to the next. They just know. They just get it. They're like, yeah, we got to remove the snow. That's what we got to do.
I would say we're far better than anything in the South, but we got a lot to learn from the North, for sure.
Right. Well, yeah, the South, it snows a half a centimeter, and they're like, oh my gosh, we don't have any trucks to do anything.
We got one guy with a Jeep Wrangler and a snow shovel duct taped to the front. That's all we got.
We're not speaking for the South. Brian, do not speak for the South, because they
don't know what snow is.
That is horrible that they duct tape things. No, it's probably
not horrible. That's like
I know they know how to weld down
somewhat
there.
accurate.
Somewhat accurate
anyway.
that they have one plow down there.
Yeah,
that's it. They share that between
four
Florida,
states.
Yeah, 4 states.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, but I do want to. So this whole talk, even though should you be worried about World War III? No, you should not be worried about World War III right now.
No.
Should you be vigilant and be ready?
Should you be cautious and be watching the news? Sure.
Absolutely.
But also don't watch too much news, because some of the news is biased and one-sided and points you in the wrong direction.
So you should just watch us instead, and we'll
let
you know when.
Be worried.
Yeah. However, that being said,
I have a really strong basement down here, and I'm really under the earth, so this is where I'd go for sure.
The next talk that I want to do for the next episode, I want to bring up. Everybody knows what EDC and get home bags are, which is what I have here, and I have a ton of stuff in there, and I can show Britt after talk. We can go through that, but
EDC bag. What's an EDC bag, Brian? I do. I know, but the viewing audience may not know.
EDC stands for everyday carry.
Yeah.
But there's also whoosh bags, which stands for wake up, stuff's happening. Like your house is on fire. What do you grab in that 10 seconds that you're going to go outside? Do you grab your passports, or do you grab the car keys?
Keeping things in locations that are easily accessible to take stuff out.
But then even get even further, you got like bug out bags or bug in bags. If you're going to make it home, you want to bug in, and you want to have a base of operations. What do you keep there? And prepping. I do want to talk about all that on the next one.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Super knowledge base for all that. That's where I want to go.
February. That's where it's at.
February.
It's short. It's only in 28 days.
I know. I was going to say something about that, but I don't want to get political right now. So anyway,
but there's a leap year every once in a year. Well,
I know.
It's another day. You get
favorite,
one more day.
My favorite day of the year is February 31st. Oh. Anyway, we've been talking on food security and large-scale conflict or global
Clean water solutions.
Yeah, we kind of ran the gamut on stuff.
Well, I mean,
and rambled
with
and
war becomes poverty. With poverty becomes malnourishment and a low water level. All of what we talked about all kind of is the same thing.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. 29 this year. I don't know what he's talking. That's Logan. 29 this year. There's a little bit of a delay.
Logan, you're 29 this year?
No, he said 29.
I know he's not 29 years old. I know that.
Yeah.
So
anyway, there's a little bit of a delay, Logan. So I'm not sure what you're talking about there right now.
yeah.
But anyway, we're gonna wrap up this talk because we've been rambling for probably another.
And hey, Logan, we'll see you hopefully sometime in June.
Yeah. I'm not
you can
sure
make it
where you
to-
are in the
yeah.
San Antonio area, but
It's Texas. Just make it
you
out,
know how
man.
freaking huge Texas is.
Well, you know,
Ridiculously big
when-
for a state.
when I was told when I was in Florida and I was in Naples, Florida, and I should make it to Miami,
Naples is in Italy.
Naples, Florida, to make it down to Miami for a Miami Heat game because there was a ticket, I was sure to be making it to Miami, which is 2.5 hours away from Naples, by the way, in a Ford Mustang drop top.
He meant 20. There are 29 days in February this year. Because
Yeah,
it is
of
leap
course
year.
there's.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Logan.
Well, that's why I said leap year.
All right,
Brian, I love this show.
I know,
by the
right?
way,
Just
thank you. For
anything could happen.
anything can be talked about and happen. So,
Exactly. Yeah, Brett and I are gonna hang out for a little bit and
of course we are.
see what happens.
We're gonna watch that show about South Korea,
Oh yeah, and North Korea. Oh, South
North Korea. No, North Korea. My fault. Sorry.
Un. Kim Jong Un.
We'll cry a happy tear
Uno
when we
mas.
listen to Katy Perry.
Oh.
Anyway, firework.
Well, this has been episode 99.
99. Next time we see you, it'll be 100.
We got 99 problems.
umlaut 00.
Yep. Yeah, I'm
But
excited.
our program's not one of them.
I'm excited that the EDC one is going to be 100 because that's like my passion. I
right.
love that stuff. All right. We've been talking on
How
food.
did you and I fill up 2 hours and 20 minutes?
We're good BS artists for sure.
No, we're
And
not.
not-
We weren't BS, and I had some notes. You had some notes.
There was
It's
some-
not BS, Brian. It's the truth.
I know.
This
Okay.
show, ladies and gentlemen, what we talk about on the show is 100% truth. We don't falsify the facts.
In the eyes of the beholder.
In the eyes of the beholder of what we know and our knowledge base, this show is 100% true.
True. Yeah, we try and do as much research as humanly possible
Yeah.
in the short amount of time that
We
we
don't
have.
fake it till we make it. We're telling you the truth.
Yes, but in between, there's a lot of BS that happens.
No, there's more drinking than BS.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah. All right, fair enough. We have had some good beers. We were drinking on Modern Times. We're
Yeah.
drinking on Toppling Glass. We had the Icelandic beer, which
we
is
had the coronavirus.
we had the coronavirus, and then finally we ended with Rogue.
that was great,
That
by
was
the way.
yeah, good times. I'm gonna have to catalog all that. But yeah, please join us next time. Probably in 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
End of February.
Yeah.
The 29th.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
There you go.
I don't know if the 29th is a Saturday.
Probably
that
not,
would-
but we'll
we're
figure it
going to
out.
try and do Saturday ones because like Saturday is we used to do it on Sunday nights. And
Actually, 29th, because March 1st is a Sunday. So, yes, the 29th would be a
if
Saturday.
only we had a device connected to the wealth of human knowledge to tell us when the 29th of February
It
was
is
gonna be.
Saturday.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, my name's Brian,
I'm Britt.
and this has been an episode of Drink Talk. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.